gear mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in. Get me playing, but don't get scared. Destroy you when I'm down. If you ain't tuned your head down, cut the fix up. With some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down.
Hello, and thank you guys for joining us on the Fix tonight. That right there was Santi saying yep. Thanks for joining us, guys. We're waiting for Danny. He's having a bit of internet connectivity issues right now, but he should be joining us soon, hopefully, if he can get that ironed out. We had a bit of news come out today, a lot of depressing news, unfortunately. I mean, from layoffs to everything else. And we do want to cover that, but I don't know if I want to dwell on it necessarily because we also have some more positive news and discussions to have about Deadpool and Wolverine. I think we're going to have this as a light spoiler discussion because I don't know if we can really have a discussion kind of loosely vamping on what happened. So once we get to that, if you guys have not seen it and you do want to see the movies for yourself, I would say, I'll give you the warning and let you know ahead of time so you can leave out. But I'm hoping that many of you would have seen this who are here in the audience with us tonight. So we can have this discussion with you guys as well. And also we want to talk about the news from SDCC, San Diego Comic-Con 2024, where we had, news of the new Avengers movies, 2 new movies with Robert Downey Jr. returning. So we have things of that to discuss. And there's a few other crazy things that happened at Comic-Con that I want to highlight. But yeah, so without further ado, let me get to our guests tonight. And that is returning guests. And I'll go down the line from how it looks on the screen. And I'll start with you, Ryan. Ryan, welcome back, brother. Thank you for joining us. And I say us because I'm sure Danny will join when he can. Yeah, so thanks for joining us again, brother. What have you been up to? How have you been?
I'm doing well, thank you. Things are good. Keeping busy, trying to stay creative, and always ready to jump in and offer my, thoughts on all things techie and geeky going on lately.
There we go. What have you been playing anything, or just like kind of in your creative space? Yeah.
Gotcha. I actually finished the Hell game, and that game was incredible.
Which game? Which game was it?
The Xbox game for I can't think of the name now. Brain part, but
Hellblade?
The Hellblade.
Oh, okay.
Hellblade 2.
I heard you say Hell game. I'm like, Hell game. I'm thinking in my head, like, is it Hellblade he's talking about? But I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah. Finished that, and I'm playing Banishers right now.
Oh, nice. How did you feel about Hellblade overall? I came to, I believe, what was that? A 7.5, I believe, out of 10. What? I think, if I'm not mistaken. What did you come to?
I was on a solid 8 for me. Obviously, there were points. Yeah, I think it was not the most widely impressive game, but from a design and visual and like animation mechanics, and control scheme, fantastic. There are some low points, but you know.
Nice. Okay. I mean, visually it's gorgeous. Did you play it on Xbox or on a PC?
Xbox, yep.
Okay, cool. It's something, man, because I'm still getting acclimated to the old PC life here and there, and I'm I'm getting into modding, man. I'll get to my thoughts in a second, but I was just blown away by how incredible Hellblade 2 looked on the PC. I mean, it looks incredible on Xbox too. Don't get it wrong, but I mean, it's like as crazy as it looks on Xbox, it looks that much more crazier on PC, and I was like, whoa, this is a game. I still can't believe it when I put it on and I played it. I was just like, this is ridiculous how good this game looks. Though I'm sure they had to have their own sacrifices and everything like that. But yeah, man, impressed. That's cool. Yeah. So really just Hellblade for you, Hellblade 2 for you. And what was the other one you said? Banishers. Have you gotten far in that or?
Oh, I'm pretty far. I'm like close to the end, but I keep getting caught up in ghost cases. Oh, I gotta go back and because this game, like you have to like free spirits in like in this new Eden town, and there's something that happens with your companion, and you have to make a lot of hard choices. Either do you bring that person back to life, or do you release them back ascend them to the beyond?
To heaven.
But right. So so throughout the story, you also have responsibility as a band. Their responsibility is to untether the ghosts from their tether to the world, or whatever is holding them there. And it could be a grudge, it could be some weird situation. And each story is unique. And there are different top touching points, some sensitive ones as well, depending on your character. And you really have to have the tough call. Do you blame the living person who caused this person's death and send them to the underworld? Do you ascend that person? Do you banish the actual ghost itself? But to flip on that, each choice has a negative or positive consequence to your companion who's with you. What happens to them because of your choice? So it's like, I want to help you, but I also want to help them.
So you got to weigh it out, huh?
You got to weigh it out. It's a fun game. I enjoy it.
So basically, you're telling me that we're playing the video game version of Ghostbusters, romantic version, I guess. No, I'm joking.
That's how I perceived it. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly how I perceived it.
Ghost, starring Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze, Part 2, the game. All right. All we need is some
Ghostbusters in the frontier, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what about the combat? Just the last question on it. Is the combat fun or?
The combat's more fun than Hellblade 2, I'll give you that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, there you go. I was surprised a little bit by Hellblade's combat. I mean, it wasn't a dramatic improvement over the first one, but it did feel smoother, and also that there were like contextual things you could do that I didn't know until after I had finished, and people were like grabbing spears and stuff. I'm like, I didn't know you could do that.
That.
Yeah. I'm like, brother had grabbed the axe and threw it back. I'm like, what the hell was I playing? That's not right. But yeah, man. All right, those sound enjoyable. I mean, that sounds enjoyable, Banishers. I might have to get that. Maybe I'll get it when it's on a sale or something like that. But yeah, and last, well, not last because Danny is not here, but of our fairer kind, and probably one of the most intelligent people I've had the chance to speak with, our returning guest, Santi Lou. Santi, how are you? Thank you for joining us. And what have you been up to? How have you been?
Oh, thanks for having me. So I kind of been all over the place with things just because there's a lot of things going on media-wise. So I've been gaming, but I took a little break because I've been trying to catch up on all my shows, sci-fi shows, and shows that were on my list. Also anime, watching anime. So I've been kind of busy with that, but I have, for gaming, I've gotten back into No Man's Sky because of the new update, which that game, it just continues to impress me with each update.
Mm.
Hello Games, like, I don't know how they keep doing it, but they just keep doing it. So it's been enjoyable. I'm still playing also Dragon Dogma 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm close to the end, so I'm, just doing whatever last couple side missions and then on the main mission. But for the most part, I've just been all over the place trying to catch up on stuff that I kind of put on hold for gaming. So
Okay, that's cool. It's something about that No Man's Sky. I've never played it, and before I wasn't like excited to try it out until I saw this new update, and I was like, damn, what have I been missing? Like, you can do all this stuff in there, and it looks gorgeous too. I was like, okay. So I had that in my cart on Steam for the past week, ready to buy it.
Okay.
And then somebody was like, it's in Game Pass. I'm like, oh. But
yeah, it's in Game Pass. But if you want to buy it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, because like I feel like that's the problem. Like, I've been PC gaming so much now that I feel like I'll be cutting myself short if I do it on console versus PC, where I can probably do all types of things I want to do that's outside the bounds,
Yeah.
But it looks pretty incredible, I have to say. It's like, what's the objective though? Is it just to run around exploring, or do you actually have any mission structure when it comes to No Man's Sky?
Well, it's definitely a survival game, but it all depends on like the mode you choose. So you can choose like different types of modes. You can choose relaxed mode. You can choose survival mode. You can choose like the normal mode. So it all depends on how like hardcore you want to get with it. I mean, at its core, it's a survival game, but it does have missions that you can do. The thing about them is like when it first came out, I tried it, but of course, wasn't doing too well. And then after the 2.0 update was released, I was really heavily in it because they just changed so much. And then with each update, it just keeps getting better, but they keep adding more missions, more. They have explorations you can do, so you're kind of starting out on a new game, but you're starting in a new location and doing new missions and stuff like that. So in a way, you could play the main game over and over again, but exploration allows you to expand from beyond the main game. Now, the main game, the purpose is to get to the center of the galaxy that you're in, and that basically means that once you get to the center, you can explore other galaxies, which I've never gotten that far, but I know like other players have, but I highly recommend it, just because where it is now compared to where it was when it first came out is like a total like 360. So I would definitely do it. All the updates are always free, so it's not like you're paying for any type of updates.
Right.
And they just keep making it better. Visually, it's like I couldn't like the fact that I go on a planet that I've always was on just because I have a base there, and you could just see the difference is like, I'm like, I don't know how they keep doing it. And the team is so small. That's the thing about it.
Yeah.
This team is small, but they for some reason find a way to make these updates free. And I'm just like, this is like what games used to be. That's why I love them so much, because they have that old school like game studio where they're just making content for the player to play with, but you don't have to pay for it. So
that's pretty dope. And yeah, and I like the hope. I thought the updates, I didn't know they were free, all of them like that. So that's pretty cool.
Every single update has been free.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, that makes me want to try it out more. And I remember the time when, I'm sure you guys saw this too, like where they were like trying to kind of put down Starfield because of No Man's Sky. And I was like, I don't like how they were trying to, frame that and have them compete essentially and talk down Starfield because of it. But when I saw this update here, I was kind of like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some similarities, but it's as someone who's played both games, it's definitely different. I mean, you do have some type of combat in No Man's Sky, but it's very, very basic. It's not like you're fighting, aliens or animals and stuff like that, but you're not like fighting, or like you're fighting the machines and stuff, but you're not really fighting people. So because the base is more so about survival than actually conflict. But I mean, I love survival games, so it's definitely fun. And like I said, they've added so many things that you can do that it just, you're not just, you don't have to focus mainly on survival. So
I see. Okay. Well, I know that I saw like how it looked and just the color palette of that game and everything is just beautiful. It really like gave me a sense of like wonderment just seeing it in action. And I'm like, wow, like this is
yeah,
an incredible update right here they added here. So it really made me want to get into it. The problem is that we have way too many games for us to get into. And
right.
if I jump into that and all these trillions of worlds you can go to from procedural generation and all that, when will I ever stop? And like that's the problem. And we got so many other games to get to.
Right.
Yeah. Like so for myself, I have been going on this weird, like, I guess, gaming journey. And again, like I've been playing largely on PC. So I have been playing a lot of games on Steam, getting free games from Amazon Prime's Prime Gaming, etc. GOG. So I'm getting all of that. I'm getting a lot of free games. I'm getting games super cheap that we can't get on console, for instance, at the same price. And I had got, into Skyrim. Now, this is the funniest thing. Oblivion is one of my Mount Rushmore games of all time. It's on my Mount Rushmore, one of my favorite games of all time, I should say. And so I was already coming off that hype of that. But I think at that time when Skyrim came out, I don't know what happened, but I just never got into it back then. And because I just guess I was playing other games at the time, probably Halo. If I had to blame anything, it'll probably be Halo. But so all of that happened. I never really got a chance to get into Skyrim. I've owned it ever since the 360 on up, and I've bought it at least 6 times, I can imagine, for over the years, from re-releases and different editions and things like that, right? So I'm scrolling on YouTube, and I see this I guess YouTube video about the Novus mod. They call it Novus, Nolvus. And Novus, pretty much remasters. I don't even want to say remasters. It kind of, well, it's a remaster, I suppose. It's the best way. So the current one is called Novus Ascension. And it has what they call the EMB, that you could pick different types of aesthetics for how you want the world to look color-wise and stuff like that, how it looks palette, I guess, the color palette and things like that. And it's just ridiculous. This thing has over 2,000 mods installed into it. So the easiest way to do it is to have it auto install by using Nexus mods. And this is probably going over some people's head, and I'm sure Gray is pulling his hair out in the chat right now because I'm talking about PC gaming. But stick with me for 1 second, Gray. And in this thing, in a Novus mod, you get to install this thing. It auto installs. You have to do this workaround. I have to do a lot of stuff to get to that point. And the game looks insane. It even has like combat mods you can do with it and all this other types of stuff that changes up the combat to be more flashy and in depth. It's ridiculously detailed, and I'm loving it. I have to say, I am loving every second of it. But so that's the thing that's taking me away, is that, and I already know those games are going to be pretty long. So that's one thing. And then I got put up on this game called, I think it's Soldiers, but it's like Soldiers, spelled Souldiers. So like it's their play on Soul Dyers, and if you play it, you'll get why they're saying that way. So it's like Soldiers. But anyway, it's a Metroidvania game, and so it's a pixel type game. It's pretty gorgeous looking in its own right, and it's unique because you get to pick, I think, was it 4 different classes. So you pick a warrior, you pick an archer, you pick a mage, and one other one. I can't remember the name of it. This thing was 59 cents on CD Keys for Steam.
Oh my God.
Yep. And I think regularly it's like $15 or $20 or something like that right now. So you can get it for 59 cents. I'm not sure if it's still going for that price on CD Keys, but if you guys are gaming on Steam or something like that, I would get it. Even if you're not currently gaming on it, get it. because it's too much of a good deal to pass up, in my opinion. I started playing that. I got about 4 hours into that, maybe a little bit more than 4 hours. And shout out to Everborn and Santi, who had posted this on the show the last week and told us about it. So I picked it up, loving it. And I installed it on my ROG Ally as well. So I'm going to actually play this at work once we finish here. Shout out to my job. Hopefully they're not listening. But yeah, it is actually really, really fun. I love well done Metroidvanias. So just as an aside. But, you know, that's enough of us, I suppose. We're still waiting for Danny, guys, in the chat. Sorry about him not being here at the moment, but he is having internet issues, and I don't know if he'll be able to make it exactly. But we do want to keep it moving and talk about some of the more pressing topics, I suppose. Again, there's going to be some depressing ones, so I want to kind of mix it up and keep us going in a way that's not too much of a downer. But when you have layoffs, it's kind of hard not to have a down, a negative kind of talk about it, because how can you be positive about that, right?
Yeah.
So I'll mix them up and kind of go back and forth between the good and the bad, I suppose, and keep us even. How about that? So there was a rumor about Xbox including, and this is the news roundup. Oh, sorry. Anyway, Xbox Game Pass will receive Mafia Definitive Edition on August 13th, it's claimed, and then that was later confirmed for those who have not been paying attention. So Mafia Definitive Edition is coming to Game Pass August 13th. Excellent game. If you all have not played that, give it a chance when it drops. Superb game. One of the better remakes I've ever played. Part 1, Mafia. Honestly. Gorgeous. Fully realized. There is one specific part that pissed me off, and it's that racing situation. I don't know if you guys have played it, but there's this scene in there where you race these old-fashioned racing cars or whatever. I failed that thing about 40 times. I'm not joking. It had me ticked, Santi. I was sitting there like, come on, man. Like, how is this game doing this to me? And I'm not that bad of a driver. That game had me frustrated. Only on that one part. It was so dumb. Anyway, have you guys tried that out? Have you guys played Mafia?
I have not, but I've heard so many great things. Actually, I've played a different version of Mafia, just not this original one. So the fact that it's coming out on Game Pass, I'm very intrigued to actually play it. I've heard nonstop good things about what you're saying about this game. So
yeah,
same
for you.
I've heard the same thing. Yeah, I haven't played any of the Mafia games, but I've always heard the first one was really good. So if it's coming to Game Pass, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Oh yeah, the third one I loved a lot. I don't think it got the love it deserved. Mafia 3.
That's the one.
Yeah, because that one stars Lincoln Clay, and Lincoln is partially, he's Italian and black. So
yep.
And I think a lot of people were I don't think I saw it actually. I saw a lot of people kind of like, well, he's not really Italian mafia, blah blah blah. And I was like, you all just you barely cloaked little hate is so stupid. But it's just you know what I mean. Like they'll have these and they think they're the heroes in their story when they say it. It's like, you don't hear yourself. But yeah, no, part 3 was actually dope. I don't care what anybody says, personally. I think some people are finally turning around on it and seeing that it's a good game and giving it the proper chance it deserves. I don't know if you guys in the chat have tried Mafia 3 or any of these Mafias in the definitive edition, but if you have not, do yourself a favor and try them out. Mafia 1 ends in, I think, an appropriate way, but also a way that ticked me off. But it worked for what that game and that world is. So I don't want to say more than that, but definitely give it a try. Part 3 was more, I guess, more modern in a sense that it allowed for so much more activity-wise and stuff like that, and as a GTA type clone in a way. But just a good game. Good game. Anyway, aside from that news, we had information come out about Playground. Did you guys hear this? So Playground Games have opened a third studio, and they aim to exceed 500 employees to streamline Forza Horizon 6 and Fable. Did you guys catch this news?
I did see that. Yes.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on that, Santi? Like, what do you think they will do regarding this third new studio? Do you think they'll be more for support, or what do you think they might be incubating a new game?
I mean, I feel like if you're gonna open a studio with that many people, like it's probably gonna be a new IP,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm really excited because the fact that Playgrounds is, they went from Forza and now they're doing Fable. I'm just excited to see what else they're gonna do. So yeah, I honestly feel like they're probably gonna work on a new IP, which is exciting. New IPs, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if they take an old IP and redo it their way, I'm still gonna be excited about it, just because Playgrounds, everything they make is amazing. So I'm really excited about that. It's crazy how you have the other studios that were closed, and you're just hoping that with these new studios being open, those people who were laid off can find opportunity in these new studios. So that's always the silver lining in these type of situations. But yeah, I'm excited about it. See what's gonna happen. So if it's more games for Xbox, I'm here for it.
Hey, you preaching to the choir here. Like as you say, a third new studio. It does give me thoughts though, but I want to get your thoughts, Ryan. What about you when you hear this right here, and your background? If you guys didn't know, and I have to add you guys details to the description. I forgot to do that. I will do so by tonight. But Ryan here also works and dabbles in, as a creator in the gaming space as well. And you should check out his link once I post it later to check him out on Twitter. I think you have some of your work, I think, posted on there, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so Ryan, he does animation work and all of that, and he's pretty dope with it. I would love to learn how to do. I want to get into gaming somehow, as far as like voice acting something, leave our mark on something, right? I think that'll be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But what about you? Like when you hear this news about Playground and opening a third studio, does your mind go to support studio or them creating a new game or incubating a new game?
I have two thoughts on it. It's good and bad that they're able to have an opportunity to have a third studio when Microsoft did close other ones in that same breath. It's a little disheartening, but also kudos to them. They do have a high caliber. We will not dispute that. Like their scores, like through Metacritic and whatnot, are high. They're not insanely high, but they have a consistency for their track record. And they were able to now take on Fable, which is amazing. So I don't see them being a support. I fully see them having another team to take on something else, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. Because if they have been given the reins, we don't know how Fable's going to be, but because we haven't played it, we haven't seen much in game other than snippets and more of them, which is great. But we haven't seen a vertical slice of a part of a story mission from start to end or anything like that. Hopefully, we'll see something like that next year or sooner. Mm-hmm. Next E3 or sooner. But I definitely don't see them being support. Their caliber is too high, and especially like the amount of people that they're onboarding for that does not qualify for support. They wouldn't be.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. And we had this talk on Boom's podcast, Xbox Factor, I believe. Was it this week or the week before? I forgot. It probably was this week. I kind of bleed into days here and there nowadays because I am like dead tired at that point on Tuesdays when we go live. But so one of my thoughts is the same as yours and you guys, which is you wouldn't bring that many people into it just as support. They are no ABK in Activision where they can just have a full solid team of devs that's just for support. So I think also is to create a game as well. Although they'll probably use them, I guess. They'll probably be flexible. Maybe they can do both. It's possible, I suppose. Because
I could definitely see flex for both, for sure.
Yeah, because they don't have to strictly just make a game. It could be that they're incubating it until that team finishes off one other game, and then starts to
Mhm.
bleed over. But I'm interested in seeing it. But it did give me thought though, with the layoffs we had heard around the way from Xbox, that you have this new studio opening up with Playground. Now, Playground, I know I'm in my head, I think, and I don't know if they've said this, but I feel like they want to be kind of in the echelon of the rock stars and the Naughty Dogs and such. That's my thinking. And I think if they can land this with Fable and it lands at a 90 whatever meta, much like they do with their Forza Horizon series, I think they'll probably be pushed into that conversation, personally. So kudos to them for doing it. It just makes me wonder with Microsoft on how they evaluate who they're gonna fund. But having a third studio pop up makes me think, yeah, clearly they have full support and trust of Playground Games. I'm just interested in seeing where it goes. So we have news from Discussing Film. Batman Caped Crusader debuted with a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. That is on Amazon Prime. If you guys have it, check it out. It's an animated series with Batman set back in what appears to be the 50s era, which to me, honestly, aesthetically, is the best Batman. That's when he's at his best right there. When he's set back in those times, you can look at movies rather, like Mask of the Phantasm, things like that. Have you guys seen that, Mask of the Phantasm?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite animated movies for the Batman series, for sure.
Classic.
Yeah. I mean that's one of the best. That's one of the greatest animated movies, like superhero wise, ever. So yeah.
Absolutely. So you have that, and that's on Amazon. I'm going to check that out tonight. I got a busy schedule ahead of me while I'm supposed to be working.
We can all multitask, right?
Yeah, multitask. That's it. Yeah, I'm be watching multiple series. That's what I'm going to be doing. Because I heard they leaked, apparently the episode or the season finale of Like a Dragon leaked. I heard. So just saying, I don't know if you guys have been on it. I'm just saying, you all might. I don't know why I'm talking like that, but yeah, you all might want to look into that. But so we got that, and
I
you
can
know,
see that.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm talking as if I did the stealing of the leak or something and put it out there or something, but yeah. Yeah, just saying, I put it out there. Y'all might want to get on that. But yeah. So we also had I'm definitely going to check out the Cape Crusader though. I already know it's going to be good. It looks excellent. It brings back that classic feel. Rest in peace to Kevin. It brings back that classic feel of his series in a way, from the animated series. So give that a check out if you guys are loving Batman. You get the first trailer that came out for Like a Dragon Yakuza. That's also a PS coming up on Prime Videos. Amazon Prime is where it's at right now. I'm going to tell you. They are outdoing themselves. This comes out October 24th on Amazon Prime, by the way. They have this. You have the Lord of the Rings series, which looks amazing, by the way. It looks like it looks as if it was made in the theaters. That's how good Lord of the Rings looks. Now, I wasn't exactly blown away by it, although I didn't think it was bad. It seemed like it kind of dragged narrative-wise to me. So I didn't finish the first season. I need to get back to that. I think I'm like at 2 episodes out to finish it. But just a beautiful and well-filmed show, which does not seem like it should be on TV. That they could have easily made that a movie.
They spent a lot of money on that. I would hope it would look beautiful with all the money they spent on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they broke the bank on that. Like, there was like, I think $8 million a show, or $10 million or something like that. Something crazy.
I was gonna say, didn't they spend like $1 billion? I think.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. It was like a total of that. Insane numbers for that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they had to spend way more than what HBO spent for Game of Thrones.
And Game of Thrones was costly. Exactly. Yeah, that's the point. That's a good point, because Game of Thrones was really costly. And by the way, if you look at those dragons, you can see why. that is, I have to give them credit.
Yeah.
To me, they have become, to me, the definitive live action version of what dragons should look like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Totally agree.
it looks so real. The sound quality that they give them for their when they yell or shout or whatever you want to call it, and it's just so well done. I have to say. But yeah. So anyway, just this is saying, Yakuza Like a Dragon Yakuza series is coming October 24th to Prime Video. You guys should give that a view. The guy that got playing Kiryu, one of my critiques, I don't want to make it like a big complaint, and I don't know where you would quite find a 6'2", super well built, great actor in Japan either. To be fair, though I'm sure there's somebody out there that fits the criteria, but the guy I thought was a little slimmer than I would have liked for Kiryu. Because Kiryu's a kind of a big guy. I know he's not super buff, like massive, but he's built and he's got some stature about himself. So the guy they have playing as him, I didn't think he didn't really give me the Kiryu vibe, I would say. As I saw him, I'm like, okay, he's kind of a little skinny Japanese guy. I didn't really get the dragon of Dojima from him, I'm just going to say. There's a little tattoo on his back and all that. I don't know. But we'll see. It could turn out great. And that matters more than if he looks exact, 1-to-1, I suppose, of Kiryu. So we'll see.
Yeah, if he can get the aesthetic of like the character and how he carries himself, that might sell through that.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yes.
I mean, they got a good track record, Prime, so
We'll
see. So,
have you guys ever watched this show, Superman and Lois?
Oh yes, I love that show.
Never watched it. I've never watched it.
Are you talking about the animated or the live action?
Oh,
Which one?
the live action. I forgot there is an animated. I forgot
Oh,
all about
the live
that.
action. No, the live action. No, but the new Superman animated show. I love that show. But
I gotta check that out too. It's look, I'm behind. I forgot all about that one. There is one.
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah, because
I love it.
I remember they had the conversation. You might remember this, Santi, where they were like, I think, ragging on Lois because I didn't like it either. How she was like, "Oh, you didn't tell me your secret identity" or something like that. And it's like, he's Superman. He's not supposed to just tell you who he is. Like, I forgot the conversation, but I know people were like, "Oh, typical women," or something like that.
No, she was definitely making me mad, but I mean the character growth, definitely as the season has gone, like, has gotten better. But yeah, she was definitely making me mad about that too. I'm like, girl, like, he's a first of all, he's not even human, so that's one thing,
Right?
And he's a superhero. Like, of course he's not gonna tell you, even if he is with you, he's not gonna say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Like, and they're like, "You didn't tell me your deepest, darkest secrets. It's over." Yeah, but I gotta check that out. But there was a clip they shared online for Superman and Lois, the live action, and it has Superman. I think this is like the final season for it, and
that's what I heard.
Yeah, he's going against Doomsday. Fairly accurate looking version of Doomsday.
I did see clips of that.
You saw that, right? You know what?
I did see clips of that fight.
I could play it let me see if I can play that and mute it.
Does it look good?
It looks pretty decent. I don't know why my tone went up like that, but you know how we talk.
Is it on HBO Max?
It is, I think, CW. Surprisingly.
That's my thing, because CW superhero shows, like, I fell off on those like a while ago.
Yeah, I did too. I know exactly what you mean.
I think that's why I didn't really watch it, because it's like, okay, I've been watching CW superhero shows since Smallville, since high school. So, it's like, okay, I did watch Flash and Arrow and stuff, but like at some point I fell off on it.
No, I get what you mean exactly. Believe me, and I felt
because the storytelling just wasn't all that great.
Yeah, it became
off. It fell off completely. So it was just like,
yeah.
So that's why I didn't pick it up. But I actually have heard good things about it.
Yeah, me too. I've actually heard a lot of good things about this show. By the way, before I play this, let me give a shout out to the audience here, because I see more than a few people who I have to shout out that I did not say hello to. First off, let me start off from the top. It's Timmy Jr. What's up, little man? I call him Junior because he's my son. Shout out to Web Dave. What's up, brother? And Gray, our mod, of course, Gray Monat. What's up, brother? Punty. What's up, Punty? Bobby Hawk, resident Hooved brother. TZ the GOAT. What's up, brother? K Santi. Who else did we have? I saw a bunch. AIK Gaming with Coco. I'm in love with the Coco. I'm sorry. Cheetah P. Risk It. What's up, brother? Risk It for the biscuit. Who else did we have? We had a bunch more that actually scrolled up that I missed. I know it was King Styles. It was a bunch of people I mentioned and shouted out. Abdel, what's up, brother? Talk that. You know what? And Special Nick. What's up, Nick? I'm not sure what time. I know it's got to be late for you, isn't it, Nick? Oh, no. It's like 12 or something to 1 in the afternoon for you. Never mind. You're not in the UK. Palpatine, what's up, brother? How do you say this name? Hold on. Okay, K Nakagawa. What's up?
I think it's Kai.
Was it Kai?
Maybe.
It's K-E-I. Is that K or Kai? It looks like
it might be Kai.
K. Yeah. Oh, it's 11 a.m.
K, maybe.
Yeah. Well, Kai or K Nakagawa, thanks for joining. This is my first time seeing you that I can recall. So thanks for showing up. Oh, it's like the letter K.
Oh,
okay.
it is. Yeah, it is K.
Okay. All right. Look at the brains on Santi up in here. Shout out to Nick though. Nick, you know, I don't really say it enough, brother, but I love you guys' show. I think you guys are one of the more premier shows with Xbox era. You guys do a great job. You know what's crazy? I watched those guys do their show, and it's something I want to implement on a fix, which is that this kind of game discussion they do where they give loose hints of what the game they're mentioning and you have to guess what the game is. Nick, what do you call that? What do you call that game that you guys play? And I'll be in the audience listening, and they'll be like, vociferous, like they'll say something like vociferous, I don't know, tornado animal or something like that. Be like, what? And it was like, oh, Crash Bandicoot, of course, Crash. Name a game, that's it. I'm like, what the hell? How did you pick that up? And you all be solving it, and I'd be feeling like an idiot in the audience. I'm like, I don't know what. I remember one time I shouted, I wrote out a name of what I thought it was in the audience, and it was so off that I just deleted the comment and kept going. I'm like, okay, I'm an idiot. All right, you know. He said he's dumb as that. No, you're not. Nick, you win them sometimes. I see you. You going against John Sycamechanico, if you guys don't know, who made one of my favorite maps, I think, as far as content creators in Halo. So yeah, but much love to you guys, man, and keep doing your thing. Yeah, but let me try to get this trailer to play really quick. Not trailer, but footage, I guess, of Superman v. Doomsday. 1 second to switch scenes. Make sure that's right. Okay. All right. You guys can see this, right? All right, there we go.
Yep.
I had to mute it just in case because I don't want them to copyright strike me or something like that. Let me see. Hold on. Maybe it's no music. It's definitely CW.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can turn the volume down a bit. There we go. It's definitely CW levels of visuals, but it's not bad for CW.
Is that him?
Mm-hmm. I don't know how they're flying around. I don't know how Doomsday is flying around like that, but yeah.
Maybe no gravity. I don't know.
I guess so.
Drifting on air.
Right. He looks kind of like the Mr. X or something like that. And is he putting an S on his chest? See, now he looks more like Doomsday right there. Oh, gave him the Rocky montage, slow motion. So one of the things, of course, about Doomsday, if you guys are not up on comics, is that he evolves. And clearly that's what they're showing you. He evolved stronger bones around his body. That's why he just grew those bones on his face to stop him from being hurt by Superman punching him. But that was interesting seeing a little S appear on his chest right there, too. I guess that was their way of saying he's taking on his powers.
Yeah, because I was like, wait, that's what he looked like? And then he started, like, changing. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm familiar with.
Yeah. At first, he was looking kind of generic.
Mm-hmm.
Superman looked like he got into a cat fight. Look at his shoulders. They scratched the hell out of him.
He looked like he was starving himself. What in the world?
Yeah. He's a pretty slim version. Yeah. Yep, final season. There it is. 2-hour premiere Thursday, October 17th. So yeah, it definitely is CW level visuals, but sometimes they put out some good stuff. I might have to check that out. Just throwing it out there as far as things to look out for. What else did we have? Hold on, let me look at this. Let's see. Get back to my chat. Let's see. I'll scroll into, I guess, more a bit of the negative news now. Try to mix it up. Because I don't want to have us have all the good talks and then, oh yeah, this bad thing happened, this bad thing. So we have the news of Bungie, which I'm sure everybody in the audience is aware of. Yeah. And we had the unfortunate news of Bungie laying off 220 employees, which is 17% of its workforce. Very unfortunate. And one of their statements, let me read their statement on the situation. Bungie says, we are committing to 2 other major changes today that we believe will support our focus, leverage Sony's strengths, and create new opportunities for Bungie talent. First, we are deepening our integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment, working to integrate 155 of our roles, roughly 12%, into SIE over the next few quarters. So not everybody is being fired and removed from Bungie. They're moving over to SIE, to be clear. SIE has worked tirelessly with us to identify roles for as many of our people as possible, enabling us together to save a great deal of talent that would otherwise have been affected by the reduction in force. Second, we are working with PlayStation Studios leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new fantasy universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. Unfortunate news, and this is coupled with, I believe they laid off, I think 100 people. Was it in late last year, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I think it was like 100, 150, something like that.
Yeah. So it's not interesting, but it's something interesting to think that Sony put up all that money to buy them and acquire them, and they put I think an extra $1 billion or so to retain talent, and this happens anyway. And it leads to the thought, because, and shout out to Sick and Mechanico, by the way, Nick, because he did make a tweet, and I know my brother Clute, I'll just say Clute for he knows who he is. He also mentioned it as well, and people got on him about it, but it seems to be the case that it's less a thing of Microsoft or Sony and more about Bungie having mismanagement. And I say that because the popular thing used to be, oh, Microsoft, fumbled it with them. They didn't know how to handle Bungie, et cetera, et cetera. And then we heard news about Microsoft flat out not acquiring them when they could have, because they came to Microsoft first, and then Sony got them. So this doesn't seem like a mismanagement issue of Microsoft or Sony, but of Bungie itself proper. What are you guys' thoughts about that? Santi, I can start with you. What do you think about this? First off, of course, condolences to those who have lost their jobs. Hope that you guys land on your feet and bounce back. It seems like, and I've said this before on other moments where we had people we found out that were laid off, it seems like a constant flux of that, where we're kind of like, oh, we feel sorry for you, we hope you land on your feet. And at a point, I think it kind of rings hollow. But I can say specifically for myself, and I know I'm sure you guys are the same, I do mean every bit of that. And because nobody wants to lose a job, the economy is in a rough spot nowadays. It's hard out here to survive, and the cost of living and such is drastic. So to have all these creators who have crafted our worlds be in such trouble, and where they might not be able to stay into the field they trained for, is depressing, honestly. And I saw a tweet from, let me see if I can find it. It was a tweet from a user on Twitter named Kelly Bean. And Kelly Bean was formerly a producer at Bungie. And she was really understanding, but I don't know how understanding you can try to be when you just been laid off. So she says, I've been impacted by the layoffs announced this morning. It's been a privilege working with everyone at Bungie for the past almost 5 years, but it's just really bad timing because my maternity leave was supposed to start next Monday and I got laid off today. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said.
You see?
Yep.
God, that kills me.
That was hard to read. I was like, oh, come on. It's already terrible. And then you had that, and it was just like even worse. She goes on and on. I don't want to read all of it because this is a lengthy response, but I'll give her a like on these two. But what do you say to somebody like this? And her baby is due to arrive any day now, as she pointed out.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what do you say to somebody like this in this situation? And she told them about this, by the way, her maternity leave back in, I believe she said February. So should she not get her money? She should get some money. She should not be denied that. But it's just like these are the real world ramifications that we kind of overlook, I think, in this general discussion. And it's not something we set out to do, but we start to look at people like this as just part of a cog and a wheel in the cog, I guess, in the machine. So we don't really look at it as the real world cost of what this does to people. So
yeah, love
and understanding and hopes for the better for all those affected. Santi, what's your thoughts on this situation here? And you can fool both of you guys when you speak, fully give your thoughts and whatever you want to speak on, condolences or whatever, which way you want to go with it. Say whatever you feel on it. As far as how this is concerned, and what's your thoughts about Bungie in general?
Yeah, definitely, hope, all the people who lost their jobs, find, a new place to land. It's just so unfortunate to consistently hear about these layoffs in the industry. It just sucks. Like, I have, not just Ryan, but I have also a friend. She actually was in the chat, Coco, who was trying to get into the gaming industry, and seeing all these layoffs is just very discouraging, just because you just don't know if you're gonna have a stable job. So I hate hearing it, and I feel like I know everybody wants to have council wars and have all these arguments and talks online, which is fine, but I just feel like the people who make these games for us, like, they're hurting right now, and I feel like they definitely need all the love and support that we can possibly give them, because it just sucks right now. For Bungie is starting to become, you have that a friend or acquaintance who's like consistently in and out of relationships, and they always complain that it's the person they dated that's the problem. I feel like Bungie has become that person, where it's like they consistently keep leaving these situations, and they're saying, well, it's not us, it was them. But then you're like, but these same things keep happening. Like
Yeah.
you move from one place to another, something happens, and then you move again, and it's like, are you sure it's not you? And it's like
Yeah.
it feels like it's them. And the sad thing about it is, like, yeah, these people are, hopefully they can get, jobs in SIE. I'm hoping that's what happens. But it's like, it feels like, in a way, Bungie may not be around in the next couple years, just because it's like, it feels like they're kind of getting, eaten alive, basically, until everybody merges into Sony and Bungie doesn't exist anymore. It just feels that way now. Which is very sad, because it's like, it's that studio just has a history of making great games, and you hate to see things like this happen. And I honestly do believe, like, Sony paid way more money than they should have. Just because, I know Destiny was such a phenomenon, but it's had its, lulls, like, a lot of multiplayer games. But I just, at this point, it's like, it sounds like it's management issues. And so, if they exist, if they continue, it's going to be very surprising that they exist in a year or two. So I don't know. I just hope that, people who got laid off could definitely find homes and, within Sony and other studios, but, and, or start their own studios, which tends to be the thing usually with layoffs. Devs come together and they create their own studios and stuff. So, hopefully they'll land on their feet. But man, that lady, I feel so bad for her. She's like about to have a child, and you have to worry about this type of stuff. So, man, that sucks.
It really does suck. And when I read it, I was like, oh wow. Like, I already feel terrible enough for them, but then you add that extra layer of that, and it was like, that stings. That really stings. Speaking of management, in Parsons, I see my boy there on the screen there, Sonny Slim, aka Steven. He was mentioning Parsons, and our brother Nick here in the chat, Special Nick, pointed out that when I was mentioning Bungie, trying to be acquired by Microsoft, he says Parsons also lied his ass off publicly when he denied our opinion piece, saying we think Microsoft is trying to acquire Bungie. Yeah, so there was a bit of controversy surrounding Parsons as well that I'll pull up in 1 second, right after I let you get your thoughts out, Ryan. And a lot of people are finding issue with Parsons right now. And I know, like, he got this signing bonus once they were acquired by Sony and such, and that, he bought all these cars they were talking about, and, I guess 24 different cars or whatever, and exotic cars and everything.
God.
Yeah, and I guess it just really lands hard in the face of these people being laid off like this. So it's like, oh, but the fat cats up top, they get to keep their jobs and get all these millions, while we, are shuffled off like we don't matter, while we the ones making the games. And that's the way it always comes off. The little guy is always the one who gets, shit on, essentially, while the fat cats up top get to, cash in. And it's an unfortunate part of capitalism that keeps happening. But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this, bro? And as far as, again, you can feel free to speak on however you want to speak on it with those affected and things like that. And what's your thoughts on Bungie as a whole?
I will say that I had a love for Bungie for a time in its early rise, and establishment for what they were able to create and build for the Halo franchise. And even back then, it was probably tougher for them because there were only a handful of guys doing that, and they were also going through their unique challenges. But Bungie's been struggling for a long time, and I think they only hit stride when Microsoft got the rights for releasing Halo at that time. All this news is truly, honestly, disheartening for anybody. What sucks is a lot of people don't know is that devs go through job loss and transition all the time. It's only noticeable when it's largely publicized, or if it's during an earnings where they communicate this. They need to communicate a change to show that there's progress to our goal of financial resolution for losses made. And at the end of the day, yes, the studios are responsible for that. It just sucks. These are people at the end of the day. I don't know anyone personally from that studio, but I do know people at other studios who have gone through this, and it's swept under the rug. They put in 80 plus hours a week just to hit final crunch on getting the game to gold, and then they were turned around once it got past gold. They were shown the door.
Oh wow!
Because the game was already launched. I'm not gonna speak on them specifically because I'm not gonna put them out there like that.
Yeah.
But it happens. It happens a lot more than people realize. The only difference is the scale. You're seeing it on a larger scale for studios, big names that you're seeing all the time. And this applies to smaller ones too, that just have one game that they put a lot of money and time into, didn't make the numbers that they were needed to make. They couldn't sustain operations to make another one. They couldn't find somebody to invest in them. They had to close their doors. So I hope, like we've all said, is that we hope that they find stride in going to other companies or finding their own resolve to either step on their own. But I hope people are aware that these things happen quite often, and sometimes your voice can be damaging. And it can be damaging to, yes, it is hurting the studios, but it's also hurting the person who's trying to feed their child and keep a roof over their head. So that's just my hot take on that.
And that's a great point you made, though, as far as that, because this happens more than we would ever think, but it's because of the scale and who it is, right? And Bungie, a well-known, legendary developer in the scene. We know about them, obviously. And as Kay pointed out, we all have our love and fondness because of Halo, typically with Bungie. That's I would imagine most of our love comes from that. I know there are a lot of Destiny fans, too. So we get it. They have that legacy. But you see this with Halo and Destiny from Bungie, and we build this love up for them over the years. But then we continuously and consistently see this mismanagement of things and such, and you start to wonder, where does it stop? Well, some of the issue is, and Palpatine, shout out to him, he says, it must be nice to be responsible for the decisions and none of the blame for those same decisions. And I agree with you, brother. But it's unfortunate.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate these guys get to, I guess in a sense, get the reap the benefits, and if they do well or bad, one way or another. And while the little guy is swept under the rug and harmed because of this, and that's the unfortunate thing. One of the things that came out is about this situation, though, aside from Parsons and companies' mismanagement, is that, and we talked about this, me and Danny, I think a month or so ago, which was the situation involving Bungie, that if they went under a certain threshold, Sony would actually get full, how do I put this? They would get, I don't want to say ownership, but they would lose any of the anonymity that they had before. To, I think, how was it worded? I forget how exactly it was worded.
Was that part of their terms of agreement when they were acquired?
Yeah, it was part of their terms where they would lose out on, how do I put this? I forget how that was worded. But
wasn't it like if they didn't make a certain amount of revenue or something?
Yeah, something like that. Where I guess direct rights and such would divert to, or at least revert to Sony. So Jeff Grubb speaks on it, and he was asked, and he says, "Have you heard anything on this?" And he says Herman Holtz runs Bungie now. He says also they attempted to soften the blow by sending many people from Bungie into SIE instead of just cutting them. He says, I thought the number of jobs lost was going to be close to 350. So it was going to be more possibly. He says, I'll put it as far as I know, which isn't everything by a long shot. In time, Bungie will lose its autonomy and will become like any other PlayStation Worldwide studio under SIE and Herman Holst. And by in time, I just mean that this is a process that is starting now, but it is happening. He says, I'll talk about this more on GMM tomorrow. I think we can suss out the answers to most of the questions that people have. Also, I bet we'll get some more reporting by then as well. He says, listen to Game S mornings on YouTube podcast feeds today to hear what is happening and what isn't, and Destiny 3. So there's also news of Destiny 3. I'm not sure if you guys saw. He says, we also talk about the high expectations that are on the people remaining to deliver something huge with Marathon next year. My boy Bricks used that Herman Holtz in.
Oh, so they're still pushing for Marathon. That's interesting.
Yeah. You know, one of the thoughts too, and I know a lot of people had this thought too when it comes to that. Besides Marathon, I don't think any of these live service games are going to do too well for Sony. In my honest opinion, I just don't think that's what their audience wants. But
exclusively, no.
Yeah, and also I'll point out too, like, it is so increasingly odd that you had Bungie essentially tell Sony proper that, hey, no, Naughty Dog is not ready for prime time with their game, and Factions was, canceled versus everything that's happening with Bungie now. I'm pretty sure their fan base is like, what? I just have to point that out. Yeah. So Jeff Grubb goes on to say further. He says, please listen to Game S mornings today. It's the first segment, and I will have all the details you need. So I have to check that out, by the way. But the short version is that Payload, which is the next Destiny, as he put it, is being shelved indefinitely. They do not internally consider it Destiny 3, for your information, to be clear. But so obviously outside of the layoffs, anything they were going to do concerning Destiny 3 or whatever, for now is indefinitely put on hold. I don't know what the future holds for Bungie.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like they're gonna be around much longer.
It doesn't.
And if they are, it's gonna be a show themselves. Like, it's crazy how they tried to stay, like, even though they were with Sony, they were trying to have some just autonomy so they can do what they needed to do. But yeah, I mean, I would not have put that in a contract saying like, oh, if we don't live up to the expectations, you can take us slowly. Like that to me is the dumb compromise. Because anything can happen, especially nowadays. So it's just like, I don't know why. It sounds like Parsons the type of guy who was like, oh, I get money, okay, like, and just didn't care anymore. Who knows? But I don't know.
You have to keep in mind too. It's like at the time, the time is relevant too. When they were possibly being acquired, that they were running on all cylinders. They were having consistency of their updates and drops. There are new expansions all the time. They were hitting it, so they felt probably confident that there was no issues. If those terms are valid, let's just put that on the table. If they're valid for what they are, they felt confident that they could still maintain that revenue line and what they were doing. But when it didn't happen, which is funny enough, here we are.
Well, the thing is, the reason why I'm so surprised is that, I feel like there was a lot of criticisms about where Destiny 2 was going. People weren't really happy about, the expansions they were given. And they felt like it just wasn't as exciting as it was before. So it's like, around that time, like, I understand you feel like you're still on your high horse, but, I feel like there was so many criticisms where people was just starting to fall off on the game and move on. So I don't know. It's just, I still wouldn't have done that. I don't care how like especially where the industry was going. It was just like, I wouldn't put myself in a situation where I could possibly lose this company because, right now we're good. But that's the thing about, games that, can be great great for a minute and then it can just lose everything and fizzle out. So, I mean, it's very hard to find sustained multiplayer games. I mean, the only one we know is pretty much going to be, here for a long time is, Call of Duty. Like, I don't really see that game going anywhere.
Yeah.
But, it's just like, or, Grand Theft, Auto, but, they're working on the new one. So it's like, that's another one, but it's just very rare to find like those type of games. I mean, you have your, your Fortnites and, those type of games where you also have revenue, but they're just very far few in between. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think that's crazy.
It is. It's just concerning because like with the layoffs and everything we talk about, again, it goes to the thought of I think we're losing a lot of, not only just creativity from those people, but we're losing out on a lot of what could be potential, and I feel like I think with the cost of capitalism when it comes to gaming and how it's grown over the years, the little man gets again swept under the rug, and at the cost of business, like, hey, it's just business. We got our money, et cetera, but we as gamers, we as consumers, we're going to lose out on so much more that we probably could have had that we'll never know about. Like it could have been some, masterpiece or something like that we'll never get a chance to see because these guys are no longer in gaming. I don't know where it ends, but it definitely is a bit depressing. Aside from that, and moving to another sad bit of news, Intel, as you guys can see on the screen here from Insider Gaming, Intel to lay off 15,000 employees. Ouch. Yeah, I hate to read these things. I really do. But I do want to highlight this, and I'm not going to stay on it too long. It's to move on to other news. But Intel Corporation is reportedly going to lay off 15,000 employees as the company makes drastic cuts. The company announced it will be seeking $10 billion in savings for 2025. Which will lead to the layoffs of a large quantity of staff members. Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger revealed the news of the layoffs earlier today to his staff as the company is gearing up to make the cuts. Intel to have massive layoffs ahead of 2025, and that is old Pat right there, looking like Bill Gates' cousin. With competitors such as NVIDIA on the market, Intel has decided to introduce a massive cost-saving plan that will reportedly cost 15,000 employees their job in 2024. NVIDIA was declared the world's most profitable company, which is insane, by the way, as Intel missed its growth target, according to Gelsinger. Our revenues have not grown as expected, he says, and we've yet to fully benefit from powerful trends like AI, says Gelsinger. Our costs are too high and our margins are too low. We need bolder actions to address both, particularly giving our financial results and outlook for the second half of 2024, which is tougher than previously expected. Where is it at? So where did all of Intel's losses exactly come from? Challenges faced by Intel Foundry also reported that a large reason for its losses in 2024 was due to challenges it faced revolving around the Intel Foundry. In fact, the Intel Foundry segment does not expect to see profits until 2027 at earliest. While Intel's traditional business seems to be stable, it has still been impacted in recent days by heavy market demand for laptops and PCs. The company plans to produce a large amount of chips over the next year in hopes of competing with brands like AMD. With a lowering share price and many other issues revolving around Intel, as you guys can hear me, there it is.
No.
There it is. OBS. Stop playing with my heart, OBS. I think OBS is trying to usher me along. Like, all right, enough talk about this. Oh,
right.
No. OBS heard Intel and its internal chip started to malfunction. But yeah, unfortunate news again. We can't give enough condolences and sorries for those who are going to be affected. We just, again, it'll sound like fake platitudes at a point. So we hope the best, and I'm gonna speak for all of us on that before we let's move to the main topics, because outside of this, we did have a lot of good stuff to happen. And I'll speak on, you know what? Let's just move to Deadpool and Wolverine. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, let's move to that.
A nice lighter topic.
Yeah.
Transition.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's move to that. So, over the week, we had Deadpool, over the weekend, rather, we had Deadpool release, Deadpool and Wolverine, to be exact, Deadpool 3, release worldwide. And let me see if I can find the news on it. Where is it?
Yeah, they definitely broke records.
They broke records for sure. The last I saw was, okay, well, one of the records they broke was they said the F word 118 times, which is a new franchise record, with the second movie only having 90 F-bombs, it says.
Oh my God.
That's one of them.
Of course, Reynolds wouldn't want to shoot for that.
Right. Yeah. So that's one of the records they broke. Let's see. Here it is. I found it. And here we have, at least this was at the reporting. This was posted on the 30th of July. I'm sure it's past this number now. But Deadpool and Wolverine will pass $1 billion worldwide by next week.
Oh my God.
And on the 30th, it already passed 500 million on the 30th. So it's doing well. It feels like, MCU is bouncing back. I mean, how can it, with, two of its most popular characters in the movie, of course, and two of the most favorite comic character actors, and of course Wolverine with Logan, and all these other movies, and X-Men with Hugh Jackman, who's beloved, and much like our RDJ is seen as Iron Man, or Chris Evans is seen as Captain America, or Chris Hemsworth, or any of the other Chris's are seen as their counterpart, Hugh Jackman is largely seen as Wolverine, the de facto, right? But what a movie. So, guys, this is the part where we're going to have somewhat of a spoiler discussion. I don't want to go too crazy on it, but I definitely do want to talk about some things that happened in it, and I don't think we could do it justice by kind of lightly talking over what happened. So if you don't want to tune in for this portion, I would understand. Or if you just don't really care about the spoilers because the journey, or I guess the journey is more important than the end for you, then stick around. So Ryan, I guess I could start. Well, we could just have an open discussion on this. First and foremost, bye. What a great opening. What a great opening for that movie. How, like, when you guys saw it, for me, I was smiling through most of the movie, I would say. And that's the thing I love. Now, I wanted Danny here for this because when he posted about it, Danny wasn't that glowing about it. He's like, I didn't like this or whatever. And, Danny can sometimes feel cynical to some people, I think, but he's real grounded when it comes to this, and he's very particular when it comes to things he likes and things like that. So it's like if they miss out on certain things, he's going to call it out, being a writer himself, and he's rewriting the DCEU. If you all don't know that, and check out his channel. But
oh wow,
yeah, so he's rewriting it and saying how things should go and things like that. So he's very opinionated when it comes to that. But Danny had some issues, and I wish he would have been here for this because I really wanted to see what his thoughts were and what his negatives were. But I'll start with you, Ryan, on this one. What was your takeaway for the movie overall? And I would say, what was your one of your favorite moments in the movie?
It's just a journey of two different characters, two different personalities, going at odds, but still coming together at the end, but also having their own individual paths as well. So it's just fantastically, to me, first time seeing it. I have to go back again and watch it again with a different set of eyes, but first time seeing it, it's just well written to me. Like, I think the arcs and the character development of each of them is fantastic. I can't pick one part in particular that I like. I'm also trying to be sensitive to spoiling as well. But if anything, it's like I think the opener is probably a safe bet. Just him beating everybody with the adamantium. This is just fantastic. And then top it up, he gets the claws and he does something interesting with the claws as well. And you're like, how is this? Oh, that's right. This is still rated R. Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how did he get away with this?
That's the thing for me. I was actually, it wasn't so much that they got away with it, but I'm like, this is Disney? Like, Disney allowed this?
Right.
That's what got me. I was certain that Disney was going to, impact this negatively and not allow them to be, the Deadpool we've come to expect and love, right? From the R-rated F-bombs and everything else and the gruesomeness and violence. This movie had all of it. It did not shy away from it.
I was gonna say it's funny that you mentioned that because even Ryan Reynolds himself was surprised what Disney let him do. Like he talked about how they would are writing the story and he would check in with them to make sure that was okay. And he said everything they wanted to do, Disney was like, yeah, go right ahead. So even he was surprised.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. I mean, shout out to Disney because I did not expect that. I hope this kind of opens the door more for other R-rated type of heroes, the Punisher, etc. To really let them showcase what they can do and what they do, and violence is their game. So I love it. I loved all of it. To start off with, of course, opening with NSYNC's "Bye Bye Bye," like that, spectacular. Loved it.
Yes.
Audience I was watching it with, everybody was cracking up, singing the song along with it. I know I was singing it with my singing ass. So I'm in the audience, bye, bye, bye. Like, and I just thought it was so uniquely Deadpool. Like that was a very smart decision to do that, I thought.
Look, I was trying to contain myself in the chair from not dancing. Just how much energy that was going on.
Yeah, I was doing some of the choreography. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I was an NSYNCer in high school, so nice. That's my generation. So I was definitely doing some of the choreography.
No, were you all doing the part? I bet I know which part too. Was it like when he does the stomp? The stomp,
yes.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And then of course the bye bye hand, of course.
Yeah, the waving goodbye. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that part I loved it. I was that part I think there's like a good way just to kind of open things up, and it really did like bring us all to what this movie would be. Now, I do want to get into it. I'll get into critiques. I do want to get into some critiques because while I love the movie, if I'm going to be fully fair and critical, there are some parts or some things I guess that takes it away from being great, even if it's good. It's a good movie. It's entertaining as hell, as I wrote about it when I posted on Twitter. I don't know if it's like in a top echelon of all MCU movies necessarily, but then there is some stiff competition because the MCU has a lot of quality movies, in my opinion. Yeah. But as far as just Deadpool movies, if I had to rank it, I don't know where you guys will rank it, but I would see this one as the second best. I still see part one as the best. This one had moments that were better, had moments that were clearly better than any of the other ones. But this, I think, is second best, and part two is third best. I didn't think part two was overly great. I thought it was just okay. But this one I thought was really good. Part one I thought was great. If that makes sense.
Yeah, part one is still the best.
Yeah.
Two, I think, went on longer than it should have. That was the problem I had with it.
Yeah. So for me, for this one, the only thing I had any real gripe with is because Deadpool himself is insane. So he's all over the place, that's why this movie works. But at the same time, I can say, well, narratively, it wasn't that strong, right? Like you're like, okay, well, he has to do this thing to try to save this world, but they don't really exactly paint that picture well of how they get to that. He just kind of happenstance into one thing into another. It feels like, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it did feel like it. I don't know. I think it was just the execution. Like it just felt like it was just a lot of chaos, which that's who Deadpool is. Like
Exactly.
it just didn't. There was the flow to it was kind of off about like how they went with the story. So I can definitely give that critique too. I just think it was just to me this movie was like a love letter to not only the character but also Fox, the whole their whole like universe that they were trying to create.
100%.
So it was a lot of fan service, in this one.
Yeah.
And it was understandable. Yeah, it was understandable why. But to me, this was kind of a love letter to that whole universe, and kind of like moving on. So that's like after we watched it, I was really thinking about certain things, and I was like, yeah, this was kind of like the love letter to Fox and this universe that they had, and now it's kind of like, okay, we're moving on to this new endeavor, this new company, this new universe. So but I get the critique because it did feel somewhat chaotic when it comes to like the whole plot of the story.
Agreed. And that's that's the only gripe I would point out to it. But then I tried to weigh it out and said, well, that's Deadpool, essentially. Right?
Yeah.
That's what you should expect. I don't expect this movie to have the competency, I guess, narratively of something like, the Avengers necessarily, or let's say a more personal movie like Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that too. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
And because that's one of the best right there, and like narratively super strong, right?
One of my favorites. Yeah,
absolutely, one of the greatest MCU movies, without question.
So watch that multiple times and not get bored.
Well done.
Yeah.
Which of course is why we're all so happy with the Avengers news with the Russos coming back and McFeely. So but I agree with you, and this is why I said this movie had moments that outdid other ones by far because of the fan service. Like one of the fan service, and I'll just get to this. This is a bit of a spoiler part, guys, so not even a bit. It's just flat out spoiler. We had like you were pointing out, the Fox, I guess, fan service, but also kind of respects being paid to previous Fox made Marvel properties. Obviously, one of the best being Blade.
Yes.
And we were talking about this in the green room before we got live, and I saw the tweet where Wesley Snipes was like, wait a minute, I don't like this guy. We don't like each other, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, huh? And my brain did not connect and think, oh, maybe he'll be in a movie. I didn't even think of it. And sure enough, he walks out with a little white goatee and I'm like a little gray in the hair. I'm like, whoa, like it's Blade.
Yeah. I screamed.
Yeah.
I screamed when he came out. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing this? Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, Marvel. Like, this is the stuff I'm talking about. And I know Ryan and his partner who co-produced the movie, I know they came up with this and then gave it to Marvel and said, this is what we want to do. So kudos to Ryan Reynolds and his partner. I forgot his name at the moment, but
I think it's Sean Levy.
Yeah, that's what it is. Sean Levy. That's right. Sean Levy.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to them for having the wherewithal to say, let's give this homage essentially to the 20th Century Fox movies, so well beloved. Like the only thing I think they were missing, because they even had some of the X-Men characters in here, aside from Wolverine.
Sure.
We saw Toad. I did not realize that was Ray Park, aka Darth Maul, if you all don't know.
Right. It was such a quick like cameo that I was like, is that him? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it. Of course, they replaced. Go ahead.
Lady Deathstrike was back there
Lady
too.
Deathstrike was there. That's right. They switched out Psylocke from Olivia Munn to
because I was gonna say, I'm like, did Olivia play? Yeah, so that was. Yeah.
They switched her out. That they did have Azazel from the X-Men First Class movie in there. That was the guy who played him too. So they got that. And of course they had I feel like I don't want to give this one away, but I'm going to do it anyway. They had Johnny Storm in here.
Oh my God, that moment. that moment was so amazing.
Yeah.
Because you're
Potty
really
mouth
thinking
Johnny
like,
Storm.
oh, we're about to get Captain America,
Right.
And then he's like, flame on. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah. And they set that up well, by the way, because when he was at the TVA, it showed Captain America, him saluting him. So they gave us that little red herring to throw us off. So when we see him and then we see the wraps around his arms and the red and blue, you're like, okay, that's got to be Captain America once he takes off the hoodie and you see his Chris and you're like, oh, yay. So in my head, I started immediately theory crafting like, okay, wait a minute. So when he was taking the stones back, maybe he still affected the timeline negatively. So the TVA had to get rid of him. That's my thinking, right? And I'm like, but wait a minute. How do you get back to Peggy then? I started sounding like a brother in jail. See, what you need to know, brother, is that messing with the timeline can be irreversible to the iniquities. So I'm seeing it. I'm like, oh, Captain America. Then he's going to say it, Avengers and something. He's like, flame on. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. He did play Johnny Storm. Yeah, oops. And that part, by the way, was hilarious when it pays off at the very end, which I won't say anything about the end part. But
yeah.
Because I thought, and I know you guys thought it too, and I don't want to give this specific part away, but we're like, oh, you Deadpool, why would you say that and get him caught up, right? Essentially.
Right.
And then we find out some stuff. But that aside,
let's call him Potty Mouth Johnny Storm.
Potty Mouth Johnny. But for me, so much goodness. I mean, Gambit, and by the way, that was hilarious. You got him talking. You got him talking, and the Creole. He's doing an obviously very exaggerated version of Creole, which is, to be fair, that's how some of them sound, but it was exaggerated. And Gambit, that's how he should talk with the Creole accent. Yeah, Shay.
Yes.
And Mon Ami.
Well,
and
I don't think a lot of people know that Channing Tatum is actually part Creole. Like,
oh yeah, good point.
That's why he wanted to play Gambit so bad, because he is part Creole. So, like that. I'm sorry. That whole. First of all, I love Gambit. Like Gambit is one of my all-time favorite X-Men. So
Same.
I was losing my shit when this happened. I was like, wait, what the hell was happening? And then it was it's like, oh my, because that whole, they were gonna do a Gambit movie. He was gonna be Gambit, and then it just never happened.
Yeah.
So the fact that we got Gambit and the way that they executed him was so perfect, and I was like, oh God, I need this live action. And of course, everything that just happened with the animated X-Men and everything that happened there.
Yep.
Yeah, everything that happened there and how depressing it was, and then you get this version, and you're like, oh my God.
It's the season of Gambit right now. Absolutely.
Right. No, seriously, Gambit is getting his shine, and it's good to see. So, man, I don't know. I mean, if whatever Marvel decides to do with the X-Men, they definitely have some work to do, because they did honestly Gambit so much justice in this movie, and I was very, very surprised and happy all at once. So
I was blown away because to first and foremost, outside of Channing Tatum finally getting to appear as Gambit, because for those who didn't know, he was in talks to get that done with Fox back in the day. It didn't plan out or to, I guess, work out essentially before they moved on with different plans. And like you said, he's part Creole, so that works out too. And that's why he wanted to do it. But seeing him, this was the kicker for me, because, and shout out to them actually putting Wolverine in the suit finally, right? But we got different versions of that Wolverine, by the way, and I want to get to that too. But
yes, I want to talk about those too.
Yes, because that was so well done. I was like, this is a love letter to Marvel all over, in my opinion. That's what this felt like.
Yes.
And this is why I love the movie so much, because not every movie needs to be this certain thing. Oh, you met this criteria, you met this. It could be it could just be fun. And this was a fun movie. But Gambit being so comic accurate on how he looked impressed all the hell out of me. From the long trench coat to the purple and blue top and the metal leg guards. I
Yep.
loved it. To the playing cards, to the gloves, to the
The
staff.
staff. When I saw the
Yeah. Just the aesthetic of
Lost
how
my
he
shit.
chose to attack people is incredible.
Yes.
Ah.
Oh God.
I
It was
loved
just
it.
like this is what I've been wanting.
Yes, he pulled in that part when they were fighting and they pulled the cards out and flexed them out. I was like,
Yes. You know, I love the part where he's doing like a back bend and he's like putting the cards on each like
yeah,
person he's fighting and then they all explode. Oh my God. I was like, this is amazing.
loved it. It felt like it felt like I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like when you used to watch like certain things from. This is where I feel like where in the MCU just gets it, and where you used to watch stuff like DC, and be like, y'all missed the step there. You could have did this. You could have done that. But then you see the MCU's like, yeah, see,
Mm-hmm.
and see, look, and they brought Black Panther with Captain America together. See, like one moment after another. That's what the MCU has kind of been. It's been this fan service reward system almost, where we see these things happen. Now we see the Red Hulk appearing. That's going to be in the next Captain America movie next year. Like things like that we continuously see from Marvel, and that's the stuff that keeps us coming back. But seeing stuff like that, where like you point out, and again, a shout out to, and that's respect to Ryan and Sean Levy and people who co-wrote it, whatever, to have the wherewithal to say this is how Gambit should act. This is comic.
Right.
That's been shown in the cartoons. This has been shown in the comics of how his ability works. And to see that all plot out like that, even in a short time that they can give them with the movie having to move along, I thought was just spectacular. Also seeing, but the part where it was hilarious too was the dialogue between him and Deadpool. So he's talking in Creole. He's like, "Yeah, I want to share one more," and he's like, "Excuse me."
Right.
he's like,
making fun of his like, I'm like, what kind of dialect is this?
What is this dialect? He says, you need to speak to your dialect coach. I was like, you know what? That was so funny. Oh man. And he's just like ignoring him as he tell him. He's just telling him and he just keep going about his business, you know. And he slashes the alcohol from Wolverine and with his card and all of that. But all of that was just so well done.
And that's the thing I love about it too, is that it created that banter between them. Like that's the banter you know, because Wolverine and Gambit, they always were beefing all the time. So to even see that interaction between them two, I was just like, this is everything I've been wanting to have. I wanted to see. Like they were about to kill each other, basically. He's like, "Oh, you drinking all my liquor?" And like, oh, it was just like, this is what I've been waiting for. But I love the fact that Gambit, like the dialogue, like they kept having him talk about how, you know, how he almost didn't exist. Like he was in the line of existing, but then he didn't. Like I like the fact that they like kept doing that fourth wall. Like you know, this is a made-up story or a character we've never seen before. It's like, I love the fact that they kept doing that. You know, like each character kept making fun of their own universe, and like for instance with Elektra, where you know Deadpool brings up Daredevil, and of course you know her and Ben Affleck were married. Now they're not, and she's like, oh. Well, he's like, oh, you know,
I'm so sorry for that.
You know, I heard he died or something like that. She's like, well. So just the fact that you like knew it was deeper than the character, I just love the fact that they did all that. I love
that too. That part actually had us cracking up too, because it was like, I was like, when he said it, I was like, ooh, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. She was with Ben Affleck, and okay, so. That was hilarious too. By the way, Jennifer Garner still looks quite.
I know.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I was gonna say, I know a lot of people had beef a lot of those Fox movies, but I love those movies.
Some of those movies were great.
The fact that they had these characters that I actually like. I liked Elektra. Like it wasn't gonna be like back then for what it was. It was what it was for what it was back then. Like it was to me okay. Daredevil, Ben Affleck's Daredevil, like I loved that movie.
I did too, actually.
Like I really enjoyed it. The first one, it was just really great. I mean, Fantastic Four, like the fact that Chris went back to that, like to me, he's the best Johnny Storm because he just played Johnny so perfect. Like he was just egotistical,
He was
asshole playboy who just didn't want to like play by the rules. Like
he played
like
him
just
right.
to see that. Right, to see him in this movie, and then you're so used to Chris being Captain America, and to see him cursing and saying all these things, you're like, oh my god, I completely forgot that he's playing Johnny Storm, and this is how Johnny was.
Yeah. And also,
so
too,
it was just
also just shout out to Chris Evans because even whatever role he's in more than a few comic movies now, from Captain America to Johnny Storm to the tough guy boyfriend in Scott Pilgrim.
Yep.
He plays all of his roles really well, and I don't think he quite gets the credit he deserves as far as an actor goes. Even if you see him in the movie like what was that? The Onion movie, the detective movie with Daniel Craig. What is the name of that movie?
Oh, I can't remember, but I can't remember the name, but I know what you're talking about.
You can see how he even played on there. He played this. I don't want to give much away on it, but. He's just a really solid actor, even Snowpiercer, stuff like he doesn't get enough credit, I think, as an actor, overall. But he has, and he looks super youthful, by the way. Shout out to the brother for taking care of himself. But the man, I think, is a staple just in comic movies. Just in comic movies alone, he has enough credit. Mm-hmm. But all of those things combined, it really elevated the film for me. Then we move on to the Wolverine discussion we were talking about. And
yes.
I saw some people kind of upset, like, oh, they desecrated Logan's memory because of the Logan movie ended so perfectly, and then you bring him back. And I'm like, this is the comics. You all are not ready for comics, apparently, because there's multiverse situations, multi-universe situations in Marvel and DC. DC infamously had
in general, like characters just never die.
That's right. And Wolverine and Deadpool in particular are not known to die. Right. So
well, the thing is, they killed off Wolverine in the comics, and they always kill these characters and bring them back in the comics. So it's like, that's not new.
It's not new at all. The only ones who have really been safe has been like Uncle Ben from Spider-Man. He's like been one of the characters who they respect and say, we're not going to bring him back. That's it, unless it's an alternate universe, then they'll show him. But
it's an alternate universe, but it's you really don't see it that much.
Exactly. That's the only one, and that's because Spider-Man is so well beloved and revered that they wouldn't dare. That's the only reason. Yeah. Otherwise, they'll probably bring him back too. Because look at Jean Grey. She used to be in that same situation. Oh, she's dead, and they kept it that way for a while, and then they didn't.
I mean, Jean Grey is like the Phoenix, so it's like she wasn't going to stay dead regardless. I mean, as the Phoenix, they die, they rise. So it's
exactly right. Yeah, that's the whole point of the Phoenix. So, but people were complaining, oh, you did this with Hugh Jackman. And I'm like, I don't know how people. I feel like, how do you even watch these movies and that's the takeaway you got? I don't get that. I honestly don't get how you came away with negatives for what we saw. I don't get that personally.
I mean, it's two different movies. Logan was a very emotional movie to where it really you saw Wolverine Logan in a different light than his previous, and like the previous movies. Like it was more of a serious movie emotionally, just because of the character that he was with. So it was different, but. This is a different timeline Wolverine. Like, it's not the same. And so I didn't look at him as the Logan that we saw in Logan. I looked at him as a whole different, Wolverine from a different, timeline.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. And that's what people should have taken from this. And I'm like, okay, why are you all even upset or bothered at all? I can see if you got, I guess, complaints about, well, he desecrated the Logan body from the Logan X-Men universe movie world. Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's Deadpool. That's the funniest thing in the world. The fact that it even happened. And of all people to do it, it had to have been Deadpool to do it, to break that wall and say, I need this guy, and no one can regenerate. He's gotta be still alive down here.
Right.
Not.
Right.
Like, that is so Deadpool. Like, the thing about Deadpool is he's crazy and chaotic. And so he's gonna do these things that you just think are like blasphemous, but that's just who he is as a character.
Absolutely.
He has no boundaries whatsoever.
Yep. And we see that play out with Jenny Storm. I won't go to more than that, but yeah. But yeah, and that's the thing. And I thought it was so dope that they went into all these different universes that
oh
Deadpool
my
was traveling
God.
to. And so
I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Yeah, so we saw
There's nothing more satisfying than Short King logo.
that was funny. That was funny.
Can I tell you how happy I was? Because one of my things, I don't know if a lot of people know, in the early 90s, it was rumors for years they were going to make an X-Men movie. And they had like all these stars who they were saying could possibly be in the movie. Like, you know, Angela Bassett, they were saying she was going to be Storm or whatever.
Oh, right.
Like I think they said, who else? I'm trying to think. I think they said Arnold Schwarzenegger at one point was supposed to be a part of it, but it was a lot of like stars who they rumored to be in it. So one of my gripes, because with the original X-Men, was that you had Hugh Jackman, but he wasn't the Wolverine I wanted. Like the short, little stocky, little angry, like as Ryan said, Short King. Because and the fact that they did that, I was like, thank you for letting me have this moment, Ryan Reynolds. Thank you. You literally like made me happy. So now I can go on and not be mad that I didn't get the Wolverine I wanted, because I got the Wolverine I wanted. Even though he was there for a second, I'm fine.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's like one of those where there's two things. Like one of those where one, yes, here, look, you guys really want more comic accurate superhero.
Right,
there you go.
Yeah.
Whatever. Enjoy. And then the other part is, now that you see him, do you see why we don't do this?
Yeah. That was the funniest part, because when they showed him, I'm like, oh, he looks just right, like, and then they showed him jump down off the stool. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, who is this little shorty? I'm like, Logan he's small. He ain't that damn small. Now, like, damn.
Right.
But it's the way they play on it.
Hop off that high chair.
Yeah.
That killed me.
It's the way they play into it, though, which is so cool, and how it fits Deadpool's universe and how he, what he does. I thought that was so cool, and it's again an homage to what we have come to love over time with the comics. So then they switched from Short King Wolverine, comic accurate looking Wolverine at that, by the way, and we see them go to Days of Future Past Wolverine when he has the metal club on his arm where he's missing a hand, but his claws still come out of that club, to be fair, but they didn't show it in the movie. But they're all destroying Deadpool as he comes to talk with him, by the way, and he's just tearing him up, cutting him up and smashing him with the clubbed hand. Then you see that he goes to what's the one I want to say? Oh, he went to the throwback, I believe, from John Burns era, where he had the Wolverine in a brown and yellow outfit.
Yep. Oh man, that was awesome.
That was so dope. So dope. And then
we kind of got a glimpse of that. Didn't we kind of get a glimpse of that in the Wolverine when he went to Japan?
Somewhat.
Yes.
Yeah. But this one here, of course, was in particular because he pops the claws out, and you see the reflection of the Hulk, just like the comic.
Oh my God. Just like the comic.
So well done. And of course, Deadpool gets knocked into some trees by Hulk. That was so dope. That's one of the, because these things are
MCU Jesus,
which also got a lot of negativity.
Oh
way, as I'm sure you guys saw.
Yeah.
But I just thought like all those moments of that was, because right there was them listening to fan feedback over the years. Why didn't we ever get we should get a shorter Wolverine, because he's Hugh Jackman is 6'2". He doesn't look right technically. Then you get the Wolverine in a suit. We never got Wolverine in a suit. Well, they gave us several versions of him in a suit now. To different versions. Days of Future Past Wolverine instead of what we got in X-Men Apocalypse, for instance. You got the actual Days of Future Past Wolverine and how he looked in that setting. And then we got one that was really unexpected. I didn't expect any of this, to be fair, but one that was really unexpected was Calvorine. Henry Cavill as Wolverine.
Oh my God.
Oh,
That was crazy.
It was, and
I
First of all, the fact
Blown
that
away.
man is still that big,
He's gigantic.
like he's that stocky. I'm like, yes, this is perfect. Yes, right
he
there.
looked just like him. Like,
He did.
aside from Short King Wolverine, he looked the most accurate as far as how his face and everything should look in body build.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, that's Wolverine right there. Yeah, I know it's Henry Cavill when he turns around, but I'm like, now I can actually see him as that. And then you had Deadpool, of course, talking about, we'll treat you better over here than those other guys that were around the way. Obviously talking about DC and such. I thought that was so cool.
DC.
Yeah, just hilarious all over and well done. He had the cigar like the classic Wolverine, by the way.
Yep.
So the Marvel Comics doesn't allow that anymore. They don't allow Wolverine to smoke his stogies. So unfortunately, but I thought, man, so well done. All of that. What it did. Oh, Kay says, let me read some of these comments in here, by the way. Chris Evans is also a great director. He did a movie called Before We Go. If you like dramas that focus on people, it's a great one that he directed and starred in. I got to check that out. And Jonathan Hickman, by the way, he talks about his Ultimate Spider-Man as a breath of fresh air when compared to the main Spider-Man book, which is 616 Universe Spider-Man. By the way, Jonathan Hickman, I love Jonathan Hickman, his Fantastic Four run was so spectacular, and that led to Secret Wars, the new Secret Wars, 2015. Jonathan Hickman is a very good writer, and he gave us some. If you all had not read the Fantastic Four run by Jonathan Hickman, you should. To me, it was begging to be made into a movie. It is so well done in how he shows how Doom, and I don't want to go into details, but Doom essentially goes through time, and he is taking out like Galactus in different universes and such. And because Doom is ridiculous, and we'll be getting to Doom in 1 second, by the way. But how he plots that all out is so well done. And he also had a really great Avengers run too, Jonathan Hickman. Just a great writer. I would love for them to get him more involved in the movies first, by the way, because he could tell a great story. Kay also says, and because of films like No Way Home and Doctor Strange 2, there are no rules for the multiverse. Agreed. It's fast or loose for characters and their actors, which is why I'm concerned about RDJ as Doom. Now, Sue, I guess we can move on to that. I wanted to give final thoughts, I suppose, on Deadpool and Wolverine, and then we'll move on to the last topic. Because
I just want to mention two things real quick.
Yeah.
Just kind of like behind the scenes Easter eggs kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Lady Pool, I don't know if a lot of people know, but that was actually Blake Lively.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which was awesome.
Pretty dope.
The thing about this though that goes deeper with Lady Pool that I just found out is that Rob Liefeld, who actually created Lady Pool,
and Deadpool,
he was inspired by Blake Lively's character in Gossip Girl.
Really?
So he technically modeled Lady Pool after Blake Lively. So the fact that
I didn't know that.
she was the inspiration behind Lady Pool, that she played Lady Pool in the movie, was just like a full circle moment, which I was like, that is crazy.
Super meta.
And then
that's
right.
dope.
And then Kid Pool and Baby Pool was his daughter and his son, who was just born recently. So that was also
Nice.
crazy to hear. I was like, Ryan Reynolds just keep it all in the family. So that was crazy.
That's pretty funny. Also, shout out to Handsome Pool.
Oh God!
Oh my gosh!
That was
did him
funny.
so dirty.
Yeah, he really did.
He did him so dirty.
And he's like, he's just getting shot up. He's like, oh. And he's like, you don't have regeneration.
All for his
He's
gold
like,
plate
no.
guns and a dog.
And I like when he met him, and he was like, I do a little bit of fourth wall breaking too. He's like, what was the name of the movie that him and Sandra Bullock he named?
Oh yeah.
I forgot the name of it right now, but he turns to the camera and he's like, such and such. And I'm like, oh, they're stupid. They are stupid.
He was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's how you use the fourth wall?
Right. So much hilarious stuff going on. I like how they integrated, by the way, the TVA into this, and there was
Yeah.
one particular
Yeah.
part where they talk about the anchor being, and Logan being the anchor being for the X-Men universe, Fox 20th Century universe, which makes sense.
Yep.
He's just one of the most
Makes all the
important.
sense.
Now, I'm gonna
Mhm.
ask you guys, who did you think? And this is for you guys in the chat too. Who do you think? And I have my thoughts. I've stated on Twitter. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm thinking most of us might think the same. Who do you think is the anchor being for the MCU universe?
I mean, definitely Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I mean, because Tony was the character that started it all.
Yeah.
I know Hulk had, movies before, but I feel like, the Hulk we saw before, Edward, what's his name? Edward Newton? Was that his name?
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
that was like, even though he had his movies first, and we had was it Eric Bana, I think was, like, we had their versions of the Hulk, but to me, for the MCU, like Tony Stark, Robert, like he was the anchor character for the main MCU.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Ryan? Who would you say, or if you want to give a different choice, who it could be? Who would you say is the anchor?
I heard different theories about that. And someone brought Spider-Man as being an anchor. And I was like, that's interesting that they would say that, all considering of like his character and how he's mentored by Tony, almost in a way of passing the baton, but then being wiped away and then brought back, and then having his own journey as well.
Right.
So I'm curious to see why people still think that, but I like the idea of it.
Yeah, that's the kind of, I wasn't expecting that pick. Like, I was expecting maybe like Captain America, maybe being another, anchor character, just because Captain America also played a huge role.
He
so
does.
that's kind of weird. It would say Spider-Man.
That's actually a good point. I didn't even think about Cap, because Cap is vital for the formation of the Avengers in general.
Yeah,
correct.
He's the archetype for why they came together, and why so many people came together. Well, obviously we see Agent Coulson and stuff. He talks about it and such in the Avengers movie, and they rally around that really to about after he dies. And I put parenthesis fingers quotes when he dies in Avengers. Of course we see him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after that, but if I had to guess, it would be Tony Stark. And it seems too obvious, but so it might not be him, but it makes the most sense. And also essentially because we've learned of what's to come with the MCU, as far as future Avengers movies, which is what we're moving to second in a second. But I want to say, as far as if I had to give the movie a rating, Deadpool and Wolverine, just off pure enjoyment of what and enjoying it, and just like, I really loved my time watching this, I would give it roughly I think probably an 8 out of 10, just off enjoyment. Now if I had to be critical and say, okay, I didn't like this or that or whatever, then I'll probably lower it to a 7.5, but I'm gonna go 8 out of 10 for me for Deadpool and Wolverine. What would you guys say?
I agree. I would say 8.5 out of 10. I agree.
Okay. What about you, Ryan? Same?
Yeah, I'm in 8.5. I'm at 8.5, 9. I really enjoyed the movie a lot.
See.
It was just outside of continuity and all that stuff. Just sitting down, buckling your seatbelt, getting your popcorn, and just getting a good laugh and enjoying the ride for what it is. I just enjoyed that part. If we want to nitpick at it, there are some points that's like trying to take the Fox Cinematic Universe and then try to still weave it in an MCU, and there's like missed points. Sure, I can see it being lower than that, honestly. But
yeah, definitely.
Just pure enjoyment. I'll just like kick back up, two dudes killing each other in a minivan.
Yeah. And they were definitely getting at each other in there, by the way.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
the violence. The violence was refreshing. But
I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised with Ryan's rating, because he's already biased when it comes to Deadpool. So
very true.
This is true.
So I'm not surprised.
It was funny also to see Hugh Jackman let loose so much as far as profanity and things like that. And
Yeah.
that's what led to the minivan, I guess, fight right there. And I saw Ryan Levy post about that on Twitter, and he's saying writing the dialogue for this, him and Ryan was so, like he said, giddy and excited to write the dialogue of Logan pretty much taking a dump on Deadpool in that moment, and how he was the only one who actually could shut him up out of anybody in the universes. And
Right.
and he did, and he's like, I'm going to fight you now. And they went at it. Yes, they did. Cutting each other to hell and stabbing each other and everything else. I loved it. Really great time. Pure action, fan service, popcorn fest, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
With a ton of, fan service and cameos and I want to say homages to things that I didn't expect them to do. And I still want to know, why was Thor crying for Deadpool? We have to find
that's
out.
the
question everybody keeps asking.
He tweeted that too. He said he knows why.
He did.
And he's like, what did he say? He said he knows why, and it's just he won't say.
Yeah. So we got to see how that plays out. I really want to see how that plays out. In the comics, by the way, Deadpool becomes Thor for a moment in the little, I think it was a What If spinoff, but he does become Thor for a brief time. But yeah, so I'm just want to see where they go with this. But love the movie. If you all have not seen it, I hope you wouldn't be here listening to us spoil it. But yeah, go see it. It's worth it. And I hope nothing but success. This is where the MCU needs to go. Continue making stuff like this. I don't want to see them downplay what the capabilities of what those characters can do. And this right here led me to believe that Disney, it gave me the thought, Feige and people are back in control doing what they need to do to right the ship. So it really did. And then to the last topic, give me 1 second while I load this up. Because this moment here was, I guess the only proper word to use is so palpable of fan excitement from what we saw. Oh
my God.
It could only, the jubilation has to be played and seen so people can properly understand how monumental this was to see. And so we had here at the San Diego Comic-Con, which had a bevy of great things happen with it. Let me highlight this video.
Yeah, Hall H never had this level.
Yeah, I was
of
gonna say
energy.
Hall H hasn't had this type of excitement in years. That's what I said too. Like,
oh yeah,
it's been a long time since I've seen fans that excited about an MCU like reveal.
100%. So this was Hall H this past week, I guess last week to be exact. But this was the reaction from seeing who will be cast as Doctor Doom in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday.
I feel like how someone in the background like screamed Jared Leto.
Oh man. I posted about this. I said I think most of us miss moments in fandom like this. This was pure joy, and all of us who have been invested in this universe felt it when RDJ removed his mask. I said RDJ, the Russo brothers, and even McFeely back as writer. It feels like the world is healing itself. This is what I posted. And we see Kevin Feige, we see the Dooms in the background to throw people off, we see the Russos, and we see the man himself, RDJ, in the middle. He's just basking in the glow. You know he's gonna make a pretty penny off of this, right?
Oh, that's what I said. Well, that's what I mentioned earlier. I said, what's the great thing about Disney is that they are willing to cut that check to bring people back to these movies. And I always say, like, if you're going to be in a Disney franchise, do not do anything to mess it up. Because even if you are in one franchise, one universe, you can show up in another universe. Like, the fact that we got Pedro in Star Wars and now we have him in the MCU.
So true.
That just tells you, do not mess up your check with Disney.
Don't mess it up.
You can get a job.
Yep. You're gonna get paid, and if you do an exceptional job,
you're gonna get paid.
Exactly. And if you do an exceptional job, you're gonna get paid really, really well.
Right.
RDJ is a prime example.
Work.
Oh yes.
Wait, I think Kay said more than 80 million to get him. What?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Well worth it, because the money he brings into them, he knows he can leverage that. They know. Oh yeah. Too. And so you see this right here, and they announced for 2026, May of 2026 and May of 2027, 2 Avengers movies, 6 and 7. Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Now, before that, we had it, I'm sure and certain of it, it was going to be our good brother playing as Kang the Conqueror. I think it was going to be Kang Dynasty.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's been changed. I guess shout out to Loki and the TVA. They changed the timeline.
Yep.
But now we have Doomsday and Secret Wars. Now, Secret Wars is very interesting because that at the 2015 version by Hickman plays into that from Doctor Doom as well, and his Avengers his Fantastic Four run, and it plays directly into Secret Wars, where we see some crazy stuff go down. I'm talking about Thanos. I'm talking about Doctor Doom. It's so much good stuff that happens in Secret Wars. I don't want to give any of that away. I hope they capture it in that movie. But I want to ask you guys, and you guys in the chat as well, because you can see my boy here, Kiryu, he's talking about he's a bit stuck on the decision of them casting Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. What do you guys feel about this with them casting RDJ as Doom? Did you feel negative about it at first, like kind of on the fence, or were you like immediately on board? For me, I was on board immediately.
I definitely was shocked. Like, I was not expecting him to come back. Like, I was not expecting anything. I knew they were like trying to change. Like, you could tell they were trying to do something because of the whole, with Kane, and now, the whole everything that happened with Jonathan Majors. Like, you could tell they were trying to, they were scrambling to try to figure out, okay, what are we gonna do? Because that was another thing that I was thinking, okay, if you guys are going to do Secret Wars eventually, which, Secret Wars was already announced, it was like, okay, are you going to bring Dr. Doom? Because he does play a very essential part in the Secret Wars. Like, as someone who, I actually started reading the Secret Wars, I definitely got to get back into it, but I started reading, I'm reading the newer version of Secret Wars, and it kind of gives you key moments from the original Secret Wars and why this whole thing happened. And so I started to, as I was reading, Doom was a huge part of that.
Absolutely.
That whole story, the whole arc. And so I was like, what are they gonna do? Like, you have Kane, and are they gonna transition to Doom? So I honestly feel like this is the right thing to do. And, it's very unfortunate that, we lost Kane, because I thought great character, but I just feel like this is the right thing to do, especially if you're going to do the Secret Wars. As far as, Robert doing it, like I said, I was surprised. And then I started to really look into okay, everybody's like, okay, why would he play Victor Van Doom? Because, the one thing that kind of stood out at the moment when he got announced was that he put on the Tony Stark glasses. Yeah. So it was like, okay, what are we doing? So why would you put Tony Stark glasses on if you're going to do Doom? And so I actually found a comic through, I don't know if you know the guy Comics Explained. He's on YouTube.
I know all about him. Good brother.
I love him so much. He did a video about this, and it's pretty much off the What If comic, Demon in the Armor, which basically is Victor Von Doom steals Tony Stark's body. That's right. They switch bodies.
Just to add to that really quick, for those who don't know, it's a long time thing. Doom is really ridiculous. I don't think the movie is even going to capture all of the ridiculous stuff Dr. Doom can do. One of his things that he's developed is the body swap, and that's what you're talking about in that story. He swaps bodies with people. He's done it routinely to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And so he can swap bodies with people as part of what he can does. But also outside of the technology and stuff he puts into his armor, Doom also dabbles in black magic. So he's ridiculous. Like he's like insanely ridiculous the things he can do. And I don't know if the movie's going to capture that, but I hope they do. I really hope they do. Outside from that, aside from the swapping, sorry to say cut you off, but aside from the body swapping that he can do, that's what I was going to say. Demon in the Armor is a play off the old school Demon in a Bottle comic from Iron Man back in the day where he had an alcohol problem. So sorry, go ahead.
No, you're definitely on point with that. So it was just interesting to see, that version of that, that Tony Stark and that Victor Von Doom and how that went, play. Because, the original story is, Victor went to school with Reed Richards.
Mm-hmm.
But in this story, Tony is the one who becomes Victor's roommate in college, not Reed Richards. So you kind of see that ordeal and how that went. So I was like, okay, I could see them doing that. I could see if they go down this route, they do have something to fall back on, and it's not just something they just created out of thin air. So honestly, if they went with that story, I wouldn't mind, because I mean we already have dabbled in the what if universe pretty much with what if the show itself. And this is the multiverse. Like you can pretty much do
whatever, anything
you want to do in this universe. So, I think it's not gonna be the typical, this is Victor, this is who he is. Like I don't think it's gonna be that. I think it's definitely gonna be something where, this is Tony Stark, and this is what happens. Like I think it's definitely gonna dabble in that. It's just interesting. I mean, I can understand why, people felt the way they did, because it's like, oh, this is a kind of a safe, lazy choice. But, I mean, it's the Russo brothers. Like, come on. Every movie that they made for the MCU is my favorite. Like, and I was telling Ron, I was like, can they just make all of them? Like, let them have the whole universe.
Let them have it all.
Right. So it's like, at this point, let them do it, because they're so good at storytelling and just creating these great moments. So it's just like, I have complete faith that this movie, Doomsday and Secret Wars, is going to be amazing. Like I have no worry whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. What about you, Ryan? Like, what was your thoughts on this, seeing RDJ as Doom? Did you have any, I guess, reservations? Did you feel like, they should have went with someone else? Because some of the fan casting we see is, what's that guy's name? He's the one that played Hannibal. I forgot his name. He plays Hannibal. Let me see. Hold on. Hannibal actor. Actors. Let me put actors. So they're gonna go to. Oh, Mads Mikkelsen.
I did hear about that. That actually wasn't a bad recommendation. So for me, like, not Santi hit most of the talking points on that, which I largely agree. I was shocked. Of all people to surprise and delight, that was a face and a name that I was not prepared to read on my phone late evening. It was like, and just like, are you serious right now? So I had to watch. I had to pull up YouTube and pull up and rewatch it. And it was even better watching it than reading it as a tweet. And I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I get it. I can see the parallels of why people are disheartened about it. And like, either it's a little bit of unfairness to Majors because he did something and they did something. Yes, semantics about that.
Yeah.
But also too, it's on people's minds too. So it's like, you see this person, and then you correlate to, okay, do we want that be the name and face like of what we support? And so I get the need for a change, and it's right. And I think also too, it's like they were already trending toward a path where they weren't hitting the box numbers that they were hitting, and they needed a W. this is a way to get the W. If the Russo brothers and RDJ fail, that would be a shocker because I just don't see it. Their track record, it's high.
It's really
very
good.
high.
It's really good. Yeah, I don't see
If
them
they were
fumbling
somehow
it.
if they somehow fumble this, I would be surprised.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they went for the obvious win. What stuck out to me the most about him being chosen is what he said. New mask, same task.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? Yes.
That tells me a lot. Like, for his character, and he's like, I like complex characters. Okay, right. So it's like this. I like the appeal of this the comic that was referenced of him being swap bodies for that. They could play into that, but I feel like with the multiverse, that's not what we're gonna get. It's gonna be, what if Tony Stark went a different path?
That I think that's about right. Yep.
And you're going to see an alternate universe of Tony being at his darkest and shifting and denouncing his name and going with this character and really protecting the world in his own way. And I think that's what this means.
I think that's a really great point. And so Sakai, but before that, I want to give a shout out to my brother Red Wolf. What's up, Red Wolf, from Red Wolf Renegade podcast rather, who had a great podcast run with the Iron Lords recently for giveaway with Holly and Ben Kenobi for those coins, which, by the way, shout out to Ben. I have 2 of them currently. I have the Gears coin and I also have the basic Xbox achievement coin. Both are fantastic. The Gears coin is, I have to post this later on or something. It looks dope. So you all should feel jealous. Just want to let you know in the chat.
Look, I'm just thinking about it now. What it is, I need to see this later.
But a shout out to Red Wolf, who gives us a generous $5 donation. He says, "Never stop, never stopping." Yes, and he flexes on us with the sunglasses and a boppity boopity hand, I call it. But yeah. So Kai had mentioned in the chat, and I saw this. He says, "Here's my concern. Everyone knows what Tony looks like. So it'll raise questions of who Victor really is and where he's been all this time if he's from the MCU proper. It'll only point to a variant." And that's the thing, Kai. This is clearly a different universe's Dr. Doom. This is not from the 616 at all. They wouldn't be foolish enough to give us, oh, look, twin Tony all this time has never been around. He's definitely from a different universe. And the fact that we have Secret Wars coming out with it tells you enough, all you need to know. Because and of course the whole shenanigans of multiversal and multi-universes, it's all a part of their plan to introduce the multiverse. It's all a part of that. So we're seeing the multiverse with Deadpool and Wolverine. They showed at least maybe 10 different universes in that alone from little small snippets and such like that. But we've seen that in that as well. So that's 100% for certain. And Secret Wars, which is all of this likely to culminate, part of the plot for Secret Wars was, or at least the Fantastic Four, which led to Secret Wars, was the collusion, the convergence of different universes that was going to erase all other universes, right? And so these converged, and I believe Dr. Doom, he did some crazy plot where he took the powers of the Beyonders, actually. He took a bunch of them, and he became, what was it, God Emperor Doom, I think it was, or something like that.
Yes, something like that.
Real crazy. So the plot for Secret Wars is the combining with other alternate universes to form what they call Battle World. It is kind of calling back to the old school Secret Wars comic, where it was just the one Beyonder with the Jerry curl who was running things. He had the Michael Jackson Jerry curl going with the little white jacket and white jeans or whatever you want to call it. And he looks ridiculous. Like, why is this the form of the Beyonder? Like, why does he look like this? If you go and look at him, you will see what I mean. He looks ridiculous and like he should not be the big bad. Well, he wasn't really a bad guy, but still. So a world that has all aspects aspects rather of all different universes, basically. So they formed together, and Doom had all this power from the molecule man that he used, as well as the Beyonders who he trapped to get his power from him. It's really dope.
Yep.
I don't want to give anything away because I hope they put it in the movie, and I would hate to say it before it happens. Well, you know what? That's 2027. You all might forget this. Essentially, Doctor Doom sons Thanos and just rips his spine and out of his body and everything else. He does a Mortal Kombat finisher on him, basically. That's just one of the things he does. But I won't go more into that. It's just really a really well done, I think, event comic personally. But so my thought of that, Kay, is that clearly this is a different universe, Doctor Doom.
Right.
Also, I'm not highlighting it right now, but part of the showcase, Kay, you were there, I'm sure you said, or it sounds like from reading what you wrote in Hall H. One of the things they showed, if you watch, I forget who the guy's name, I think it's Nick Voss and the new rock stars. They talk about the showcasing of the Fantastic Four movie. Now, we know Fantastic Four is not in the MCU. So they're not in the 616 universe, if you will, of the MCU.
Mm-hmm. Like a timeline.
Exactly. Not part of the sacred timeline, as they call it. So they are coming from an alternate universe as well. More than likely, Doctor Doom, aka Robert Downey Jr. here, is coming from their universe. He's not likely going to be their universe's Doctor Doom. And they're going to play it out in that way. And he's likely going to come across somehow, probably chasing Richards. I had to do that because he always curses Richards out like that. But he is likely from their universe. They are coming from an alternate universe. They had an actual little mini map, if you will, of New York, and where the what do they call that? The Baxter Building. That's it. The Baxter Building is essentially where the Avengers Towers would be in the sacred timeline and the universe here of the MCU. And it's essentially in that same spot. You see Yancey Street, all of this plotted out. So if I can find a link, I'll share it in the description later where you all can watch this video. He shows it. He talks about Galactus and all these other things. And by the way, Doctor Doom destroys Galactus at a point too in the Hickman's run. It's you all have to read it. I'm telling you, it's so crazy and over the top, but good over the top. And so I think Doctor Doom here essentially might, if they could, they might play into it the way that Santi pointed out, which was the demon in the iron in the suit or whatever. What was it called? Demon in the armor. Demon in the armor. They might play into that way, or they could just say, "Hey, no, this universe's Victor Von Doom. He just happens to look like Tony." They could do that. They could go the easy, cheap way out, but we'll see how that plays out. But essentially, I'm pretty sure he's going to come from that universe where that Fantastic Four is from.
Honestly, so do you think we'll see him in Fantastic Four either as part of the plot or maybe as special credit?
I hope so.
Or end credit?
I hope so, and maybe it'll play off because I think that the Fantastic Four comes out before Doomsday, right?
Yes.
Let me look into it.
Yes, it does. Yes,
it does.
They're filming. They're filming now, so stuff is coming out before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that right there, that's planned to come out 2025. So next year is that, and then the year after is Doomsday. So more than likely, we're going to see Doom, RDJ Doom, inside of the Fantastic Four movie next year. I'm pretty sure.
I do have one thought though. Now that you mentioned that, like, what if they go the kind of Doctor Strange route where you saw these different versions of Strange, like in the multiverse of madness? Like, what if you see what if Robert's Doctor Doom is just one variant of Doctor Doom that we will see, but we might get another variant of Doctor Doom? Like, I don't know. I just feel like just having him be Doctor Doom would just, I don't know if it would. I just feel like they probably would have variants because, Doom can travel into different timelines. Like, he's done it.
He's done it for
sure.
So
I just feel like we might see more variants of Doctor Doom, and Robert was just the big one to be, you know, the one who's going to be it. But I think we're going to see other one. Like, it just gives me that, just because like what we've seen so far with other characters, we've seen, all alternate universe versions of them, especially in this MCU timeline. So I don't know. I feel like maybe we would go that route, because I just don't feel like it's gonna be that simple where it's just him as Victor and that's it. Like, I feel like they're gonna definitely do some things that you're gonna be like, wow, okay.
Yeah, that would be interesting. You know what I feel like it might happen? Just a weird theory, because they're going to be coming into this universe. It's not like they just want to show up. Oh, we're just here for this movie and we're going back to our universe. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
no.
I would think that because of the convergence of worlds and leading to Secret Wars, obviously, is that their world is going to be destroyed, and they're going to have to come to inhabit the main sacred timeline world.
Yep. I see that.
Doom is likely going to be the one responsible, and they're likely going to be running from him. And he's going to be the RDJ's Doom, who probably took over Tony Stark in their universe world body, as his body was destroyed or something like that. So he took over Iron Man's body in that universe, and then tricked them into thinking he was Iron Man all along, while he was building and amassing his army to destroy that world and universe there. And doing whatever he was doing, and that probably led to the destruction of their universe. That's what I think. And that's a way to play into saying, essentially Tony Stark was Tony Stark there as well as he was here. And he looks the same essentially, but he was taken over by Dr. Doom because of that body swap ability he has. So we can see how I see so many ways they can play this out. I'm so excited for this, and I'm smiling right now talking about it, because it is so many ways they can go with this, but it just feels like this is the MCU I wanted to, them to go into a direction like this, because Endgame very much felt like this is the end of this MCU experiment. But this right here gives new life. This right here gets me excited to keep going forward with the MCU, So I'll say that. Shout out to Red Wolf. He says going to see Mr. Pool 3 in a week. So excited, bros. Been watching all the X-Men movies in preparation. He put the geek glasses emoji. Yes, he said, hee, blast a hole in the wall. Red is essentially the Deadpool of podcasters, by the way. Red Wolf. Shout out to you, Red. Enjoy it, brother. I'm glad you weren't here for the spoiler discussion, because don't watch this on replay yet. But you're going to enjoy it. I think you're going to enjoy it. Santi, you had a question from Kay. Kay says, that's exactly what I'm getting at. The Russo brothers seemingly confirmed that RDJ's Doom is Doom. So my mind thinking is a variant, which is very possibly the case. They've spoken on variants. They're talking about these anchor beings. RDJ satisfies that by appearing in different multi-universes. Also, there could possibly be Wanda. Wanda is a possibility, just to throw it out there.
And that's what I mean. Like, if you're gonna do if you're gonna keep doing the multiverse, like, I think like you have the license to explore what that looks like, and I feel like just doing, just one Doom and not having others, I feel like it just wouldn't. You really have the freedom to do whatever you want. Like, just go crazy with it. Honestly, like, this time, like this whole storyline, this phase, I really wanted to see, different types of versions, of these characters. Like, what if gave me the joy of being able to see these characters in different universes and what that looks like. So it's like, I really want them to do that with the multiverse and the live action, because it just makes the stories more interesting. The characters, you're expanding those characters in a different way. And so that's what I'm hoping. Like, I'm hoping they're doing what they did with Doctor Strange, where you see all these different versions of him and what that looks like. So
that would be pretty cool. And I was so sad, by the way, when they had Professor Xavier, they had Black Bolt, or as he calls him, and they call him in the comic, Boltagon, Blackagar Boltagon. What a terrible but also uniquely cool name. Blackagar Boltagon. That's his actual name. And I was mad because they wasted his potential so quick. I was like, he just got killed off that quick. But that was so dope to see all of that. This is a fan service from the MCU. It's so well done. Typically.
That's what I'm saying. Like, give me that. Like, you brought characters that the fact that you brought Black Bolt back from that TV series that like
that
Inhumans
trash.
that did so bad.
Yeah.
Like, it was so bad, and the fact that you brought him into this, that's what I want to see. Like, I want to see those other versions. Them doing it with the Marvels, where you see that as well in the end credits. You see that. So it's just like, that's what I want. I want that type of, you're giving me different variants of these characters from different universes. So I'm hoping that's what they do with Doom.
Yeah.
And they just don't do this is how it is. I hope they do make it that complex.
There's so many ways they can play that out too, because one of the complaints were, why didn't they recast Black Panther? Blah, blah, blah. It's a mischance. But they can bring in an alternate universes T'Challa if they want it. There's so many ways they can go about this. If they really want it. I don't think they're going to do that for Black Panther, unfortunately. But
for a while,
yeah. Shout out to AJH, by the way. He says, so She-Hulk. He doesn't look pleased by that. He says, I'm curious, who are we going to get for the Avengers for this movie, as the current films are a shambles for characters? That's a good question. I think, honestly, with them introducing Red Hulk in the Captain America movie, we'll see Red Hulk. We'll see the Hulk appear, the Green Hulk, of course. And they probably have him redeem himself from how he was thoroughly embarrassed by Thanos this time. Although Dr. Doom was probably going to put the hands on him too, though. If they give Dr. Doom any of what he should do, he should be handling the Hulk essentially as well. Sorry to say it to you all that don't know, but Dr. Doom is a beast.
He is.
So
I mean, we have the Young Avengers too. We have the Young Avengers too. So
that's true.
Another thing too is we're starting to see that become a thing where you have the Young Avengers. So I think you also have to keep in mind with that as well, that's something that they're working on doing. So I don't know. We'll see if it's going to be the Young Avengers or if they're going to bring them into the main Avengers team. So we'll
probably have to be a whole convergence of people to face Doom, to be honest. Like, it'll probably take all of them. And Scar, like AJH pointed out, and Bobby Hawk, he says, don't forget Hulk Jr., which is Scar. Although I don't expect them to do too much with him, being honest, Bobby. I really don't. I think they'll stick to the main
one-off.
Yeah, I think they'll stick to the headliners. They'll stick to the Hulk, the Red Hulk, Captain America, Bucky, which I would love to see Bucky back. We haven't heard anything from him. I wonder if he'll be in the movie, by the way. But in the Captain America movie.
Oh, Bucky will be in Thunderbolts.
Oh, he'll be in Thunderbolts. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. He's in Thunderbolts,
Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot about that. So you'll probably see the Thunderbolts all face off against Doom. Like, all of this is going to play off into Secret Wars. I'm so excited of the possibilities of what they can do. As far as if we're talking about a main Avengers line, AJH, I would think the Hulk. I think he'll come back for that. I think still Ant-Man. And who else? Captain America, like I said.
We have Shang-Chi.
Yeah, you got Shang-Chi.
We still have
I forgot
Shang-Chi.
about that. Yep, that's true.
Star-Lord.
I mean, we have, of course, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel.
Right. Captain Marvel, that's true.
Yeah, the new Guardian. I mean, Chris still is here.
Thor,
Chris
that's
Pratt.
right. We still got Thor too.
So,
Chris Hemsworth.
We got Thor. So we still have them. Like, they're still here. It's just a matter of how they're going to bring it on.
That's
Honestly,
true.
it's funny that they still have, Thor, and we saw him with Deadpool. So hey,
yeah, that's right. So he's definitely still around. That they showed it already with that. So yeah, I mean, also too, you got was it Ironheart? You got Cade mentioned something there. Kamala is right. You got Kate Bishop, Yelena, which is the other version of Black Widow. Yeah, so many ways they can do a War Machine. They got a lot still. We just haven't really seen them, using them after Endgame the way we want it. I guess would want. So, but
the continuity just got all messed up.
It did.
So.
It got a little thrown off, and from the shows and stuff, kind of made
people.
Well,
the pandemic didn't help either.
Yeah, a lot of that played into it. So we'll see. I'm excited. I think this is. Oh yeah, Florence Pugh. How do you say her name? Pugh.
Pugh. Please Pugh.
Florence
I love
Pugh.
her.
Shout out to Black Viking, by the way, who has a crush on Florence right there. She has an old person name, though. I want to say that. Florence is a very old woman name. Hi, Florence. Hi, Betty. It's just a very old, it's unfortunately old name. I'm sorry to tell you guys that, but she is a gorgeous lady. I agree with you, AJH. But yeah, listen. So we're going to wrap it up here, guys. There was some other news at the SDCC with the San Diego Comic-Con about this weird thing where there's some trafficking going on with people. Yes, I don't want to go into it now because it wouldn't do it justice to talk about it.
Yeah.
But if you all look into it, there was some human trafficking involved at the San Diego Comic-Con. 14 different people, I believe. It was very odd, but they caught them into some type of sting operation. Very bizarre.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wanted to cover that, but I think this is a better way to leave it off with the.
Yeah, I think we should end it.
Suspense. We should end it right there.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, you come right back here in the fix, okay?
More news at 9. Oh, hey, by the way,
Right.
18 people were destroyed. News at 9. But yeah, we'll leave it at that, and yeah, let's wrap it up. So. Thank you all in the chat for being here with us and holding us down as you do. There are so many people doing podcasts right now that I understand that your attention is split. So believe me when I say we're grateful that you would spend any time with us. Shout out to any newer people here that I have not seen before. Kay, I believe this is my first time seeing you in the chat, and you were definitely involved with it. So I appreciate that. Thank you all for doing your thing. If you have not, hit the like button before you leave. I want to give our guests a big thank you, and I'll start with Santi as I started with Ryan, and start with Santi as an outro. Santi, tell the good folks where they can find you and what you'll be up to.
So you can find me on, unfortunately I'm still on Twitter. I'm trying to actually phase out just to kind of give it a break. But I'm Geisha_Santi Lu on, Twitter. I'm on Instagram, which actually I spend a lot of my time on there. So Santi _Lu. So you can find me on there. I just started Threads, which has been a night and day compared to Twitter. So it's been like my positive place I go to. That's kind of similar. So it's the same name as Instagram. So yeah, you can find me there. We do have our channel, Mr. vs. Miss on Instagram, where we pretty much kind of do this. We talk about geeky stuff and post about some things that we are looking forward to when it comes to this world. So check us out there. But that's it. And I'll be gaming and of course reading manga and comics and all that. So
yeah, definitely, and that's great. You all should definitely give Santi a follow on Twitter. I will put both our guests' information into the description after this later on when I am at work, not doing work, but doing everything else like watching shows and playing games. But yeah, and big thank you as well to Ryan here. Ryan, my brother, thank you for joining and blessing us with your thoughts. Or I keep saying us like Danny is here in spirit or something, but thank you for joining me for tonight's show and giving your thoughts and what you've been up to as far as things going forward. Tell the good folks where you will be and what you'll be up to and what you'll be doing.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to be on here. I was surprised to have a second turnaround to come back, and I'm glad I can. Hopefully can continue to come back, offering our thoughts. For me, you can find me on Twitter still. I am at AnimateTron. That's ANIM8Tron. I usually post content for animation or just reference to comics or anything that's trending that's going on in reference to gaming. You can find me on there. We do have my wife's and I's social for Instagram for Mr. vs. Mrs. So we usually connect and showcase our love for gaming, geeky stuff on there all the time. That's usually my main socials for right now. But just keeping busy, having fun, playing great games when I can. When I'm not trying to figure out how to animate something new. But yeah.
Yes. So you guys make sure you give Ryan a follow as well when I put this into the description later. Check them out. Both excellent, awesome people and community members. Thank you guys again for coming through. This was a fun discussion. It's something that's kind of different because we did start off with some of the gaming talk and stuff like that. But oftentimes I am weary of kind of deviating from the gaming talk as I don't want to alienate any of our viewers because I know that's typically what they come for to hear gaming talk. And typically Xbox, although we do have some PlayStation centric guys like Bobby Hawk and Cygnus I saw into the chat earlier, who do come by mostly for that. But I feel like on the fix here, you know, we want to cover all media. It's not just gaming, it's all these other different types of media, which gives us a leg up, by the way, because we can talk about things even when gaming news is slow. So it works out. But I would just hope the audience can kind of stick with us on that and deviate from typically hearing the same old thing over and over and over, because that's essentially what you guys are doing. If you go to other podcasts, you're hearing the same topics over and over. So I want to try to give you guys, and that was our first starting effort, is to give more than just gaming talk. So, you know, other ways we can go about it, I want to explore as well. But thank you guys in the chat for being here with us. Again, if you have not done so, hit the like button. As far as myself, you can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. Bobby Hawk says Umbra loves PlayStation and PC, so he always happy to talk about anything games. He put a smiley face and a horse. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, Bobby Hawk. As far as you can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. On Tuesdays, the Xbox Factor with Boom and Cast at 12 o'clock Eastern. Thursdays, of course, here in the Fix at 8 o'clock Eastern. And tomorrow, the Infinite Podcast with myself, Risk It for the Biscuit, that blue number, and Spriggan, a.k.a. Dante Moody, at 8 o'clock Eastern. Come by and check us out as well. It's going to be a fun discussion, I'm sure, tomorrow. A lot of depressing news I'm sure we're going to cover, so we'll see. Thank you guys in the chat for coming through. Appreciate you guys. We will get out of here. You all have a great night. Later.
Bye.
Or better yet, bye, bye, bye.
That's a closing right there.